So now what do I do? Well, I guess there's only one thing. There's something I'd like to know. Are you real? Can you feel?
Hi friends, I'm Prairie Vintage. My name's Linda. I'm an energy intuitive reader here on YouTube. I use spirits, my intuition, the tarot to communicate energies to you guys, fabulous viewers. I'm so blessed to be here today. If you guys are new to this channel, welcome. I'm so glad you guys finally found me. I hope these readings resonate and that you guys stay. For those of you guys returning, I'm so blessed to be here, so grateful. Thank you so much for all of you guys. I do love you guys so much. I read all my comments. Even if I'm not responding right away, rest assured I am reading what it is that you have to say, what it is that you want to see. So continue to engage if you feel called to, okay? It's very difficult for me to respond to every single person in depth, to assist whatever way I can based on your own specific journey, okay? So I don't generally go into a whole lot of specifics in the comment section, but this sort of reading is intended to help with a lot of the sort of questions and the guidance needed for a lot of what I'm seeing coming through my channel in regards to shadow work. Okay, so I'm going to preface this reading with a disclaimer. And I do highly suggest you listen to this disclaimer before you wander off into that reading, because it will be really hindering on this messaging that I'm about to deliver. Okay, now, if you want to go straight away to that reading, you can. These are your three options. I'll get into the options and the decks we'll be using. Everything will be timestamped below, and you will find what you're looking for. So let's start with the disclaimer. Why do I have a disclaimer here? I have a disclaimer here because I don't like to put this out there into the universe and have undue stress and anxiety pushed onto anyone who sort of wanders off. Okay, now I do believe energy happens very specifically around us at all times. And if someone is intended to go wandering over there, then that's what they're kind of supposed to do. Okay, but I do want to clear my own karma here and saying what this is about. This reading isn't about making you into a spiritual guru. Okay, that's a spiritual ego. If you're in a shadow work, perpetual state of self-improvement, that's an ego. Okay, and the ego is very sticky. So that's why you always hear me. That's an ego. That's an ego. It's all an ego. Even an ego is an ego. Even thinking that we know is an ego. Okay, so what I'm saying here is ineffable, meaning there is no words here for me to describe spiritual concepts, but I have to put them into words in order to deliver messages. Okay, I do not claim to know truths, absolute truths. I strictly channel what it is that comes through the divine here. Okay, and when we pierce through ego and illusion, we clearly see that we were in dream state. But when we haven't awakened fully, we don't know. And we think we might be very aware and conscious. And it's not necessarily the case. So that's why it's tricky. Okay. So it's exactly like having a dream. We could dream for 45 years every night. And every night go to bed and be like, this time I'm going to know that it's a dream when I go into my dream. But every time you're in the dream, you think it's real. You don't realize it's a dream when you're engaged, and you think it's really happening until you wake up and you're like, oh, it was just a dream. You know, and this is the same thing like awakening. It's like we think we're awake, aware, unconscious, but we're really still in a dream. Okay. And it's like using the mind to debunk the mind from that perspective, from that veil. It will never get unleashed. You'll never see through it because you're still in it. Okay, so this isn't about mind. This isn't about logic. This isn't about concepts that you can put into your mind. Okay, so these concepts might help as sort of guides, but all of that needs to sort of go away. Spiritual practices, okay, are great to sort of build a foundation, whatever way you use, meditation, whatever it is. Okay, there's no right and there's no wrong way to get there or to uncover what you're needing to sort of understand. But the process of uncovering is what's the actual awakening process, when you realize that throughout the process of discovery and seeking, you discover yourself and find yourself through an inner knowing, okay, not through a mind concept. That's very different. And so this inner knowing is an integrated experience of spirituality. You're living in the spirituality. It's not an understanding you have with your mind, but an inner knowing that you feel through spiritual experience. Okay, why am I explaining all this? Because I do feel like that is the biggest hurdle to get over when you're working through shadow work and ego. At a certain point, you develop a spiritual ego and you're trying to attain a version of you. That version is an ego structure of the spiritual self that's going to know more, be higher, ascended, and all that stuff. Okay, there's only one version of you, and that's the authentic version of you. Everything else is a construct, an illusion of the ego that creates an identity in order to protect itself. And this is something that we are attached to and we believe to be us. Okay, at the core root of who we are, we really believe that that is who we are, and it's not. And so we have to undo those beliefs. Okay, the best way for us to sort of grasp this is if we were to fall down and have an amnesia and bump our heads, okay, and then wake up. And we wouldn't say that Linda's completely gone. Linda's still there, but all of the stuff that was going on in my mind is wiped. That is the pure essence of who I am. Everything else has been an experience, and either I attach to that experience and identify with it. I'm the wife, I'm the salesperson, I'm the tarot reader, I'm the YouTuber, I'm the all of those things, the spiritual guru, and then I get attached, and I'm none of those things. Nothing. Okay, all I am is the essence of a divine being that we all are, an extension of God. Okay, and that is untainted. It could never be taken away. Okay, the only thing that can happen is through experience, trauma, and situation, circumstance, and perception. We develop beliefs, and then we create this veil over top of that essence. Okay, which is the dream state. And then we engage in the world with that veil of the trauma, the veil of thinking that we're awake, but we're really sort of acting from subconscious. Okay, and so the ego is very sticky. So you'll know that you're mostly always an ego because you're constantly peeling it back. That was an ego, that was an ego, that was an ego. You know, like you're constantly sort of seeing through. So anyone who says they're ego-free or completely awakened, it's a big lie because we get pulled into the mind. But the mind has a very narrow bandwidth, okay? And once you're awakened, you'll know when you're in the mind because it's trying to draw your attention into a story. And that story is not real. It's the mind, the ego, trying to generate excitement to protect you. And so it tries to come up with the next exciting story that's going to capture you, full of what you want to attain as desire and what you want to avoid to protect yourself from getting hurt. That's what the mind likes to do. So it's always going to bring something up. And when you don't feed the mind, then that energy starts to dwindle. It takes time. Okay. But when you catch yourself, that your ego, your mind comes online with a thought and you see it. Okay, and you don't get pulled into it, but you see it every time you catch yourself. You create space between you, like your essence, and that egoic mind. Okay, and you start to create space. And the more space you create, the more you sort of catch that thought in time. And those thoughts, they just die off. Okay, but first, when you're doing this, you're sort of really enmeshed in that thought. Okay, you're so enmeshed that you believe everything to be true. You're still in dream. Okay, when you have a whole bunch of reasons why you're traumatized or think what you think and justify it, it is the ego trying to justify itself and survive. that needs to be seen through if you're wanting to heal. Okay, because when you see through the ego, it has no control over you. There is no pull towards suffering, because suffering is always there when we're attached to stories that we identify with. And when we're integrated into that story and believe it to be true, we're susceptible to the suffering that comes with that. Okay, so this doesn't mean we have to be completely unfeeling and detached, but we're not so woven into the belief structure of that thought and that story. That's what you're undoing, okay? Because I think there's a lot of misconception in regards to what this is all about. And it is a journey, like I said, for everyone completely different. And there's big egos, and then there's the tiny, tiny ones that are very sticky until you realize you're constantly seeing it everywhere and you want nothing to do with it. It's literally like a dirty diaper in your face of ego, that thought. The thought comes to you and you're like, oh, I just had an egoic thought, but without judgment, you see it as part of the thought structure, just like your hands move, just like your mind is coming up with thoughts. You don't control it. It comes and you shake its hand and you send it on its way. You see it. You see through it. It doesn't have control and pull over you. Because when those thoughts and those beliefs have control and pull over you, your feelings get generated intensely because you believe it. And that is why you're susceptible to suffering. Okay, so you want your feelings, your emotions, to be under your control, meaning you can sway depending on what it is that you want to impact you and what you don't want to impact you. You're not driven by external circumstances pulling you to and fro emotionally, okay? It's called emotional self-mastery. When you're just not pulled, there should be nothing that you're triggered by. Okay, if you have any aversion to anything, you're an ego. Okay, just so you know, there shouldn't be any challenge. Okay, this doesn't mean life isn't challenging. There's always pain, but there doesn't need to be suffering. There doesn't need to be a challenge with it. We could see it through the eyes of love, through the eyes of acceptance for reality. And so even the most challenging situations are blessings. Okay, and so when you see that those challenges are there in order for you to grow, thank you, God, for giving me this blessing. And it changes everything for you. And that is the energy that you're shifting, okay? But when we're really believing that challenges are struggles and heavy and we don't want them, we're resisting, we're an ego, okay? So don't avoid, accept reality. And if we are feeling any contracting emotions, that is a sign from the universe to you that you're going off course in your thoughts. Okay, that means, hey, collective, you're having a thought right now that isn't aligned with the truth, the reality of the divine. And so you're having a negative thought or a thought that isn't in line with truth. Okay, if it's not in line with truth, you start to feel sad or jealous or anger or loneliness or any of that. That's all limiting. That's all separation consciousness. Okay, and when you're in that, which is generated by a thought, that's an illusion and an ego. There shouldn't be any of those contracting feelings happening when you are seeing through the illusion. Okay, so you'll know if you're in suffering that there's still some ego happening and there's a thought, belief structure that needs to be seen through and deconstructed, and it takes time. So patience, love, and no sort of expectation for it to go away, because this is exactly like a small child in there that wants to be welcomed, loved, and seen while it's throwing a tantrum. You can't rush it or shush it. You have to let it do its thing. And it eventually calms down, and that egoic story or that belief will be seen through, and you'll integrate it back to self. These are fragmented pieces of yourself, your inner child, that wants to be seen and heard, and so it acts out. Okay, so we don't want to shun it. We don't want to shove it away. We don't want to reject it. We want to love it, see it, no matter how annoyed, disgusted, or shameful we are of whatever that is, or painful experience. we want to welcome that child and love it. It's all part of you. Everybody has every aspect of themselves, okay, that's within them. Whether they want to accept and see and integrate it is a different story. And so those shadow parts are just parts of you that need to be integrated, seen and accepted with love, compassion, and patience, without judgment, without trying to force shadow work. Okay, it will get better. And everything that you'll do from now on is to give yourself grace and love and space for you to heal this through the eyes of love. Okay, I assure you, if you come through the eyes of love, you will overcome this. And I know it sounds very cliche, but you overcome these thoughts because they're not from love. Okay, love is expansive. Fear is contracting. And so you'll know by your feelings. That's your navigational system. If it's contracting energy, something's off. Stop and feel that, okay, until you sort of put your finger on where it is inside of you energetically. You don't need to go back to, 1982 when you were a little kid and this and that and the other. You don't have to. You can do that. Okay, therapy work is all mind work. And like I said, using the mind to debunk the mind is not really what we're talking about here. Does that mean you should stop going to therapy? No, go ahead. But that's not really what I'm talking about here when it comes to spiritual work. That has nothing to do with therapy, nothing to do with the mind and psychology, and everything to do with energy and integrating experience. Okay, so you'll know when you're going through this what I'm talking about. Okay, like I said, it's ineffable, so you can't really put into words what I'm saying here. Okay, so we're looking at 3 options. I'll hold these stones shortly, but I'm going to go into the decks we're using for this reading. And yeah, I'll put a link here to the decks for those of you guys who read tarot. So we'll be using the Enneagram oracles, and we'll be using the mystical and the general oracle. And there's quite a bit of them here. And we will be pulling on the past life as well, because we come into this lifetime, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, we are energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. You come with an energy vibration from wherever you come from. Like I say, if it's reincarnation, it's another lifetime. Okay, and we need to know what sort of energy are you coming into this world with, because there might be a lot of trauma coming from past lives, okay, past places you've been, and we'll use the Guardian Angel Message Tarot for your tarot. Okay, so let's take a look at the 3 options we'll be using. Crazy Lace Agate for option number 1. Okay. Option number 2, we'll be using the Chrysocolla stone here for option 2. Okay. For option number 3, we'll use the Moonstone. Okay, I'll leave the video running for a bit. Use your intuition, which you'll see, feel, or hear to determine whether the pile is right for you, okay? Because I won't be doing an energy check, but it should resonate with what you already sort of know intuitively, okay? So sit with this, close your eyes, and when you're ready, open your eyes. Whichever one you're pulled to will most likely be your pile. It's absolutely fine to be pulled to multiple. There could be different aspects of shadow work here pulling through. okay? And if you don't resonate with any of them, that's fine too. Not your reading. That's for someone else, okay? And that's fine too. Doesn't hurt my feelings. Doesn't offend me. It's not for everyone that I'm doing this, okay? For those who need it. And I will see you guys at your pick. Hello, gorgeous angels. Pile number 1, you guys pick the Crazy Lace Agate for your pick. Gorgeous. Let's get into your reading, shall we? So I do suggest you go listen to the channeled message at the beginning, disclaimer, okay? So let's take a look. I will lay these cards out. You can use your intuition, which you'll see, feel, or hear to determine whether this pile is for you. If you want to go straight away to the channeled message, I will put a timestamp below. I'll take you directly there. So let's lay out these cards. So we have complacency, 63, ego's pitfall, stress level, remaining in comfort zone, number 9, spiritual laziness, passivity, status quo, escaping conflicts, avoiding challenges, type 9, the peacemaker, instinctive center between forgetting and asserting one's self. So we have solar plexus energy, which is our will, our confidence, our drive, our fire, okay, our instinct. And we have 11, basic fear, ego level, feeling loved, feeling unessential, feeling rejected, separation, indifference, feeling isolated, feeling abandoned. Number 2, type 2, the helper and emotional center between giving and receiving. Number 11 here, 11 is a spiritual number, divine inspiration, synchronicity, and the encouragement to keep going. Okay, which would be sort of a pointer towards complacency, to keep going out of complacency. So we have some Pisces energy and some Libra and some Virgo and some Cancer. Okay, judgment, some more Libra and Virgo. It says, I understand that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. Excuse me. I don't know why I said Libra and Virgo, but I'm feeling justice energy from this judgment. Your trauma, number 6. Okay, so lovers and devil energy with 6, which is Capricorn and Gemini. Your trauma. So a lot of people get triggered with words, okay? Words don't do much of anything. I mean, yes, words are very powerful and they are spells, okay, but they don't do much of anything when everyone's sort of weight of the word is different. And so you put the power in the words, okay? Trauma, devil, ego, experience, past, whatever, trauma, okay? Now, we have the Merkaba, 32 or the number 5. The frequency of Merkaba supports our ability to use our consciousness to traverse into other layers of reality and dimensions. It activates our access to our Akashic inheritance as well, merging the totality of our experiences into our present to serve our highest purpose. Just finished talking about experiences. Okay, and then we have surrender, denial. Accept people and situations exactly as they are without denying the difficulties. Then you can see things clearly and make the best decisions. She has a blindfold, 8 swords, 7 swords. Both of those are coming through here with this blindfold, okay? Also this judgment. She removes the blindfold and becomes awakened. Okay, surrender to receiving support and love. Allow the love and support of others in rather than trying to handle everything yourself. This can take the pressure off and simultaneously nurture you. We have 2 polar bears. So polar bears, they thrive in cold climates. Okay, so I'm getting frozen state from this complacency as well. This is really tying back to the second pile from yesterday's reading, by the way. Servitude, 62. My goodness, I'm reading backwards. That's so weird. 26. Something's being mirrored here. 26 or the number 8. Servitude, loss of power or control. Okay, so I am getting some Leo and some Virgo from this card, okay? So we have male, female. This is from the past lives oracle, because we're going to be looking at some past life energy here, so we can look at some of your shadow, okay? It says female, male. Okay. And then we have iron, number 22. So 22 is a master number. Peacemaker, diplomacy, healthy, energetic boundaries, and divinely guided relationships. All right. And we have health with the beautiful sun here, number 6. So 6 again, lovers, devil, Capricorn, Gemini, sun in Virgo. Okay. And we have guilty on this shadow oracle card. Okay, hard to read, guilty. And we have numbness. To feel pain is to be alive and human. And then it says, which is always difficult to read in this font, insensitivity, disconnection, and I think it says indifference, but it's hard to see those bottom words there. Okay, so I'm going to channel this. You guys can skip ahead. We'll pull, let's put that there. We'll pull some tarot as well, okay? Once we sort of dive into this, I do want a wand. Okay. My stomach's gurgling, you guys. Okay, beautiful angels. I feel like there is an ego here for sure. Okay, and like I said, most of us already have egos, so this isn't a slight at anything. What this is talking about here is an egoic veil that's been created through an experience that you had that you're still attached to, and you're still buying that story. And we believe it very strongly. Okay, now what I'm going to say is controversial here, and you don't got to believe me. I'm going right into the spiritual depths here. There is no such thing as bad health. Okay, there isn't. And there's just your belief. It's all energy. And when we connect to a part of our spirituality, we make sick cells go away. Okay, sick cells. They disappear. They really do. Okay, we have the power to be that strong in our spiritual beliefs. We don't, because we're creating all sorts of sickness. Okay, sickness is rampant, and it is of the mind when we start to buy into whatever. So we could see something. I have PTSD. I'm not poking fun at anyone. You could definitely believe this, okay? And I'm not saying you don't have it. I'm saying you have whatever you say you have. That's what I'm saying, okay? And so as long as you're coming from your experience, what you were told, that label, that experience, you're blind. You're blind to what Spirit's trying to show you, okay? Now, this isn't saying everyone with PTSD is blind. No. For whoever's tapped into this reading specifically, there is a message here for you. You're not seeing because you're coming from the veil and the understanding of one story that's you believe. And it's dictating all of your thoughts, and you're blind, okay? And what are you blind to? You're blind to what the divine is wanting you to see. In order for you to see it, which is going to be specific for all of you guys, we have to see through our own story first, that there is no PTSD. There really isn't, okay? Now, I am not the doctor, and I'm not diagnosing you. I'm literally channeling what's coming through here, okay? And Spirit is talking about us undoing the beliefs that tell us we have ADD, that tell us we have anything that we start to identify with, because everything we do from that point of view is identified as that. And we create the limitation and the restriction, okay? And so we're creating limitations and restrictions. And you'll know, because I feel like for this group, you don't feel good right now, okay? I feel like you feel there is a separation still here. There is feeling not loved and like welcomed, okay? It's not a good feeling. It's a cold feeling. It's difficult. And I feel like we're having challenges and connections. And we're having challenge and connection because we're actually not in a position to receive and give love, no matter how much we think we are. The energy signature that you're in is not open to receive and give love. It is actually stunting love from coming in and from going out. Okay. So we want to undo this. And when we undo this, we have to be, now we don't have to do anything, but if you're here, you're wanting to know how to not suffer, how to undo. Okay. We can't judge. And what is the judgment? Right now, we don't know what's really going on inside of us, but we're really judging ourselves. Okay. Deep down. And how does that look like in your day to day? It's going outwards onto other people, and it's making reasons and excuses why your experience that you experienced was this, that, and the other. So this judgment is actually being projected onto experience, situations, reasons, excuses, things you've experienced. And as long as you're doing that, you're outputting this energy. And energy is energy, okay? If it's out, it's coming out, and that's strong. And this is strong energy judgment. Okay, it's strong going out. Nothing can come through that. And in order to go through this judgment period, the judgment has to pass through you. It's like a lightning bolt. Okay, judgment as even the lightning bolt in the judgment card. It comes through you, and then you give it out. So there is no way around the judgment without you carrying that burden of judgment first. And so every time you pass judgment, it's striking you through you and your energy field. Okay, so within you, there's a judgment. And this doesn't need to be there, obviously, because and when I say judgment, I want to make sure I'm not taking for granted we know what this is. This isn't saying this person sucks. This is this thing's negative. Judgment is just coming with a preconceived understanding idea. That's a judgment. It's a judgment of something. You're already coming with a judgment call. You have an idea and an understanding of something from the mind's perspective that is true to you. It's a belief. Okay. And it was generated and created from the trauma. And so now we're in situations and we can't help, because this is like very habitual stuff here, because the subconscious, like I always say, is 97% of how we're acting. And so we're outputting this judgment into situations in different ways. Okay, it's not always the same judgment, but judgment is the judgment nonetheless, meaning from the cultivated trauma, there is brewing. Okay, and I keep pointing at this guilty because I feel like this is the part in the shadow that we're not quite seeing just yet. Because if I were to ask you, do you feel bad or guilt or whatever, you might say, no, I'm doing everything I can, but, and every time there's a but. Every time there's a but, it's the ego following. Okay? This is the part that's in denial. Accepting the fact that there actually is no but, and the buts that you're coming up with are all your beliefs in order to sustain and justify that egoic story. Because the minute that gets deconstructed, what are you left with? You're left with having to look at self, and inside this hurts. And this really hurts, because we're carrying a very heaviness in here within ourselves. We might not even realize, because again, this could even be coming from a past life. And we can say, no, I don't carry judgment. I think I'm a very good person. I'm very nice. I'm very loving. I don't know why anyone doesn't love me. I'm ready to give and receive love. No, you're not. Okay. And if you think you are, then this isn't your pile. And if trust me, if you're here, you most likely are not in a position to give and receive love, even if you feel you are, because you wouldn't be hurting and clicking on a video that's a shadow work. You'd be totally open to receiving love. Okay, and this isn't judging. This is great. If you're here, maybe you're just learning. Okay, maybe you're trying to sort through this. Okay, but like I always say, this isn't mental. Okay, this is all an inner feeling of what's going on here. And so if we're feeling our emotions, we'll know. If we're feeling like we can't bond and love isn't coming in and flowing, I'm telling you why. Okay, so either we're going to choose the denial and choose to be right and support that story, which of course ego is going to want to do, or we're going to consider the fact that we're carrying some judgment within us and projecting it into situations with a but. I'm justified in doing so because this happened, that happened, and this is my story. Okay, so if you identify with the story, then you'll forever be right and forever be feeling unloved. So you choose here what you want. Now, I feel like this complacency is really talking about you sort of being at this plateau part. The plateau part is not good, because it's like almost like death by a million paper cuts, especially for feeling this unloved. And it feels like we can't gain traction here. And Spirit wants to get you out of this. Okay, this is why you've most likely been called here, and maybe you feel like there's something more, and you're not quite sure, you can't put your finger on it, and so the seeking is on, or at least there's this desire, okay? And so know this, that what you seek is actually already within you, and what the actual awakening process of this shadow work is just deconstruction. It's not attaining anything. There is nothing or no one for you to attain, okay? So you're not seeking love, you're not attaining anything, you're not generating something new. What you are being called to do is deconstruct what is the illusion and the belief, and seeing through the experience, and then that experience will be tied to a story that you have, a belief, an understanding, and a story that you're still feeding as to what has happened, or what you see it as, and what amounted from that, and what happened since then, and that sort of thing. Okay? This isn't diminishing what has happened to you. Not at all. We all go through experiences. The experience happens to the body. We are not the body. We are not the mind, and the experience we have is something that's happened in the past, which, by the way, doesn't exist right here, right now. Remember the amnesia story that I used? You're your beautiful essence, and if you were to wake up just like a newborn baby right now, but you know how to use words and that sort of thing, because you're yourself, but you have the baby's innocence, okay? And I know there's like a parable in the Bible about this baby's innocence. When you wake up and you have the baby's innocence, without all of this, your life would be completely different. Okay, you could be like that again. In fact, you are like that again right now, right now, right now, right now. You're born right now, right now, right now, without all of this. But we're carrying, and we're choosing to carry this past history and this past identity and this past self that's been our experience and our trauma into the right now. And we keep interjecting the right now with that. Okay? And I don't think you know how to not do that, because we still haven't deconstructed the fact that we're still believing it and identified with that. Okay, so we got to undo it. And I think this denial is why I'm channeling it the way that I am, because I feel like our first reaction to this would be to make up all reasons why ours is special. Everyone wants to believe they're special and different. Why? Because the ego. Everyone wants special love. I'm special. What happened to me was different, though. Everybody is unique and different. Everything is unique and different. There is no exact bird that's exactly the same as another. There's no human that's exactly the same as another. Everything is unique and different. Yes, you are different. Your trauma and your experience was different. Same with 8 billion people's trauma is also different. Okay, so now we got to get over ourselves. There is no special. There is just what we experienced. Okay, and again, thank you, God, for giving me this experience. There was a reason for this experience. I might not see it or understand it fully today, but I'm welcoming what has happened to me, even if it's hurt, even if it's painful, even if it's changed me for who knows how long. I am choosing right now to accept what that was in order for me to heal, and in order for me to let go of that energy that's pushing out this judgment from a place that I'm not seeing or connecting to today. But I want to see it. And so I'm asking to see it. And I'm going to really, truly ask to see it. But I'm not going to be underneath of that, be like, but I know I'm not going to see it, but I know I'm never going to understand it. Okay, we truly have to be coming from a place like, I'm suffering. I don't want to feel unloved. I am truly asking to see. God, show me. Show me what it is I'm not seeing, and you will be shown. Okay? You just have to ask, and you have to have the humility to ask and the desire to truly want to understand and know and to heal. Because when the desire to hang on to the story and the justification is stronger, we'll forever hang on to that. And like Dr. Phil always says, and I repeat here, do we want to be right and justify that this trauma has happened and therefore all of this reasoning, or do we want to be loved and happy? Okay, we can't hang on to the trauma and experience this thing that's truly from a loving place of giving and receiving. innocently. Okay, so now there's a very loud message coming through here for you. You are being called for this because I do feel like you're guided to deliver something here, okay, to the collective. I don't know what that is, and it's different for all of you guys, but I feel like it's in the Akashic records here, which means there's like a future here of the high self for pile one to deliver. And Spirit knows the energy that you need to be in order to deliver this. Okay. And this is why Spirit is working with you. Now, we don't know how clingy and sticky the ego is. The ego fights for power and control. Tooth and nail, it doesn't want to believe that there is, that it actually doesn't need to be there. It wants to believe in its story. It's going to make you believe that if you let go of this, you're going to fail. It's going to be bad. It's not going to be good. You're going to be in denial. You're in fantasy. That's what the ego is going to do. That's all ego scare tactics to make it sticky. And you might start to believe this for a bit. And then all of a sudden, one day you'll wake up and be back heavy in ego, because the ego keeps coming back with vengeance. It tries a different angle. It comes through the back door. No, you got to believe it. And don't just listen to the tarot reader. That's nothing. You'll know this is resonating for you. Okay, because this ego is very sticky, and it's going to keep trying to get in there for you to go back onto the trauma bus. And then you'll have to debunk that one, and then you'll get stuck in that sort of mind loop. And then it's going to give you another reason. Yeah, but then that happens. So how do you explain that? Then how do you explain? And then now you're in the mind again. It's going to keep you in mind circles. Okay, we're blindfolded and we don't know we're in the mind circle, making up reasons and then debunking it and then justifying it and then saying, yeah, but then that. And then no, all of that's still mind. Remember how I talked about the dream within a dream, or like we're in a dream, but we don't realize. When you're in that mind speak, reliving the trauma and the experience and talking about it and all of that stuff, you're still in dream state. You're not sort of stepping out of it, creating space between you and the experience as the observer. Okay. And you're certainly still, and we might have to do this. This isn't a judgment saying don't get stuck in the mind story and just ignore it. Do what you feel you need to do in order for you to see what has happened, for sure. Okay. Because we can't suppress and not go through the emotional body of it. Go through the emotions. If you feel anger, hurt, whatever it was. Okay. But if you're still, there's like this 3 rule thing. Okay. It's called 3 rule, but to do whatever you want. It's like 1, it hurts. You make up a reason. 2, you're doing it again, justifying it. 3, you do this exact same thing and have the same conversation with yourself. That should be enough. Now it's time to get over it, and I'm not minimizing this at all. Some people aren't ready to get over it because they want to choose the suffering. They want to choose the victimization. They want to choose that story because it gives them specialness. They get identified with it. Okay. You don't need to be identified with your trauma. You don't need to be identified with pains. This is trying to free you from that. And we might not want to accept this. Okay. And so, like I said, in the shadow, it's really stemmed from this heaviness that we're carrying within ourselves. Okay. And so guilt is a big one for everyone, I think, because we're always expecting ourselves to know more, do better at that time. I could have done better. Or I shouldn't have spent so much time, or I should have known, or something we could have done, shoulda, woulda, couldas, And no, it was exactly as it should. And at that time, you knew what you knew. It's time to forgive. Okay. It's time to forgive. And sometimes we displace it on other people. They knew the best that they knew. They're suffering. It's not justifying what they've done to you. It's just saying that the divine knows, and we don't need to carry this. Okay. So I feel like Spirit is talking, like I said, about this delivery of something that you're to deliver to the collective here. Okay. It's going to take a lot of courage for you to come out of this denial and for you to see this differently and entertain this idea. Okay. And then you'll get pulled back into the ego or try to convince yourself why, this thing is, and then no, you're in that special talk. The ego wants you to think you're special, to identify again. Just know when you're doing it again. Okay. You'll have to just be very aware. I'm doing it again, or the thought's coming in, or it's now coming from a different angle. And This will get you changing how you see things. This will get your dialogue changing. This will get you detangled from that grasp, because I feel like it's a very strong grasp it has on you, okay? So, male, female. This is from the past life oracle cards, because I wanted to see what's going on in the past life. Okay, this is also the past life, which says servitude here. Loss of power and control. So, I was reading this as the ego wanting, obviously, power and control. Okay, but now I'm going to tap into what this is telling me about here. So, you know how male and female, it's like an energy charge, like the positive and the negative side. Okay, there's no right and wrong. When I'm saying negative and positive, I'm talking about like charges of energy, masculine, feminine, polarities. Okay, and when there's polarities, there is extremes. We can't be heavy in the female and we can't be heavy in the male, because then we're in one sort of polarity. And when we do spiritual work, we know that it's all about finding middle ground and balance, right? Because when we get on the train of, let's say, even spiritual work, it's like rampant. I want to be this version of me. And it's like so extreme. You know, we get too extreme, and being in the middle ground is like knowing we have faults, we have flaws, we have challenges, and ego's going to come up, and thoughts, and learning how to work with that without being pulled in either sort of direction. Okay, so this male-female is talking about you finding a middle ground between your masculine and your feminine. Okay, and I feel like there's this, with both of these, the loss of power and control, and we see this female sort of bowing down. There's one sort of more assertive energy, and it's generally the masculine type energy. So I don't know if we're talking, one polarity, which I feel it would be the masculine, which is outward pouring energy. Okay, because feminine energy is more inward, it's more receptive. And so we might be used to a dynamic from the past, and I don't know which role you played. So let's just say if you carry trauma because you've been in a receptive sort of energy. Okay, we've been receptive. We might have a challenge outputting energy. And I feel like this might drive some of this complacency. And now we just finished talking about like what sort of out energy are you putting? Because when you're outputting energy can't really come in, right? And so if we're passing judgments, okay, it's outward, but this isn't necessarily the type of energy I'm talking about here, because this is more like action and applying self. Remember I talked about the solar plexus, which is all about our confidence and our will and our drive. Okay, so I feel like there's healthy action, confidence, and drive and will that is being called upon you, but it can't be taken action just yet until we undo the trauma part or the ego. And again, like I say, undo. There's nothing really there to undo. And once you see through it, you'll know. Okay, but we have to see through it first and do what we need to do. And then we get to the other side, seeing that it was just a figment of our identity and our belief system, which doesn't really exist. It's like you can't touch it. It's not tangible. So it's going on inside of us. We believe it to be true. We wind it into who we are. We got to undo it. Then we undo this thing. Okay, we really then sit with this energy here. Okay, and I feel like this energy is a coping mechanism that we have here. And I feel like the coping mechanism is one of maybe where we've had to be passive, or we've been in this energy, but when we're traumatized or when we carry this shadow, it's like we could still be outputting energy, but not being in the masculine, like doing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the feminine energy is sitting receptive, but it could be sitting there receptive, knowing it's not actually taking in new energy. It's just sitting there, actually passing opinions and judgments and hurts and making stories to whatever justifications it needs to. And so now this feminine can't receive healthy love, nor can it take action in its world. And so it sits there complacent. It's not going anywhere. I feel like there's a stopgap here. There's a plug. And this is the plug we're talking about here. Okay, so once we undo the plug of energy, then energy can flow and we can give and receive love from a place of not feeling vulnerable or stuck in one dynamic or another, because I do feel like you were your role was either, like this feminine role, unable to have a voice in a way here that was healthy, to take action, to have confidence, to, I don't know, like you had to sort of allow others to maybe be in control or make decisions in some way here. Okay, so this is all about you coming into masculine and feminine balance from a healed way. And ironically, when we give away our power to the divine because we have no control, that's when we're actually fully in power. And I feel that's the irony. I feel like we're clinging or attaching or hanging on because we feel like we're losing control and power, and that we have no power over ourselves, which is actually not true. But as long as we hang on, our hands are full to this story, to that identity. And then, yes, we don't have an ability to open our hands to have control or power back in our world. So the first thing we got to do is relinquish the power and the control. Okay? Because I do feel like you're clinging to it because you really want the power and the control. Power and control to be happy, to be free, to be loved, which everybody wants. But the way we're going about it here is what's the challenge. And the challenge, like I said, will be for you to admit this, see this, and then be humble enough to surrender to this and to say, Spirit, I don't know. And I'm willing to let go and not hang on and not do the same thing I've always done in order to have something different, because I want love to flow to me. Okay, so we're building this foundation of strength here. Okay, 8 plus iron, very strong. There's a very strong energy coming through here, okay? And I do feel like Spirit, and even with the sun, okay, because the sun is the most powerful card in the tarot, and this is all about enlightenment and joy and contentment and consciousness. Okay, so Spirit sees your strength. There is a strength here that's being clouded by this, and it wants to pull through here. And I feel like this might definitely be impacting your health, okay? Definitely impacting your spiritual health, your mental health, and eventually your physical health. Okay, so numbness. When we experience disappointment, we might completely find a way to cope. And then it worked for us. So we believe that that is the way that it's going to work because we've proven it to be true to us. And so nobody, not even me, can tell you anything different. Okay, and I'm not saying it didn't work in the past. I'm saying every unique situation, circumstance is completely different. And so right here in the present moment, there's an unlimited amount of possibilities. Okay, there's no right and wrong and certain specific way to do it. So when you believe that you know exactly what it is and how it needs to be, okay, now you know you're in an egoic story of something you've experienced and you bought into and you identify with. And so this numbness, I feel, is coming from a coping mechanism. We're wearing a cloak here, and we're doing this to protect ourselves. And you might kind of know it, but I feel like we're not fully understanding, because we could just say, it just became numb. I just became numb. It just became cold over time. It's like, yes, but no, the sun is still under there. The thing that is the misnomer or the illusion is the fact that underneath this light and this consciousness that can't be tainted, by the way, that's still pure, that's still underneath all that, is all of this story, illusion, trauma, and all of that that's interwoven into your belief. So that's creating this numbness because it's over top and it's overshadowing this. Okay, and so, but there can't be shadow when the light is shined over top of the shadow. And so this is why when you connect to this light, and even just a crack, okay, if even this comes through a crack of your consciousness a little bit, this is why I'm really hammering home on this one, even just a little bit, and then it eludes you again. That's fine. We're cracking open, and a little bit of sunlight will get in there, and it will part. Okay, the mustard seed, it will grow and grow and grow, this consciousness, this awareness. It doesn't fully just cast this light and everything is sort of illuminated. Okay, but I feel like we're cracking this light towards this story that's creating this numbness and this belief, because I feel like there is this understanding you now have based on your experience that doesn't feel very good about connection and love and being welcomed and being received and being appreciated and all of this stuff. Okay, and it really feels like there's only sort of two choices here. It's like either I'm going to then give in and be taken advantage of or be controlled and feel unloved, or I got to be in control and say what I want and be in the driver's seat. Those are your two things that you're sort of dealing with here, I feel, in your mind. But that's a mind story. That's a limitation again. That's me again telling you that you're only seeing the way that you experienced. It's like, yeah, but when I was open, when I was this, I was taken advantage of, when I wasn't, but, that's again the ego. And you're being asked not to trust the people around you. Yes, they have shadow and trauma. You're being asked to trust the divine, what the divine wants to show you. Trust your own essence. That's what you're being asked to see and to trust. And once you connect to this, nobody out there can do anything, can rob you of power and control, can pull at your emotions, can make you feel unloved. They can't. Nobody can make you do anything at all. It has to be cultivated, generated from the inside. So when you feel unloved, you're the one generating this unloving feeling from the judgment that's sitting in your shadow. Okay? But I'm not blaming you, telling you that you're bad for this. I'm telling you this is how it's created. And so as long as we accept the fact that we're generating and creating this, that it's not someone out there that's making me feel unloved, then we're seeing through. Okay? We might not know it fully, and we might not even believe it because we haven't seen it and experienced it. But what I'm telling you is the truth. Nobody can make you feel any which way unless you are giving away your power and you allow it to be generated within you. And Spirit is saying, if you do feel like that, acknowledge it, and then turn your nose towards the light within you and keep working on that. And you will find the love within you. And you will have to see through this when it comes to self-judgment and self-heaviness and self-guilt, because as long as you feel this inner guilt and this inner judgment for self, we will continuously project it onto others and to the world around us. It has to be undone from yourself first. It can't be other people out there are going to change first and my environment will change first and everything will be better on the outside and then I can heal. No. You'll always be imperfect out there. People will always have shadow. Things will always be acting however they act. It's reality. And if we see that reality as painful and people are traumatized and shadowed, that's exactly what we experience. But if we see the world out there as they have pains, but everyone has this essence beneath the pain and the shadow, and all these people might be acting in certain ways based on their trauma because they're going through a journey as well of spirituality and they're doing the best they can with what they know. Just like I did the best I knew with what I had when I was complacent and feeling unloved. It wasn't really my fault because I didn't see and I wasn't awakened. But now I know that I'm working through this. And so everyone out there that's acting sideways doesn't bug me. I forgive them. I don't judge them. I see what they're doing. And I'm not taking it to heart or personal, like it's them not loving me or them not giving me what I need. They don't need to give you anything. You need to cultivate and support yourself from the inside. Despite your experience of the past, you know how to do this. Okay, it's the choice is yours now. And then, like I say, either you could choose that story still, or you can now choose to sort of guide yourself in a different way, in a different direction. And you might be so numb here that it's like, you know, that might be the dragging of changing this, because it's like the ego would be too scared to see what's on the other side. What if I'm damaged? What if I can't? You know, what if? It's like it's going to throw those at you. Okay? But trust me, it is the spiritual journey that everyone who goes on this journey goes through. That on the other side, when you connect to this light, there is no imperfection. It's God's light. It has to be perfect. It's omnibenevolent. Okay? This light can't have any devils in it. The light cannot have shadows in it. It's all light. So we're looking at pile number one's shadow work, what they need to know. What did I miss, Spirit, for pile number one? Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of beautiful pile one. Thank you so much, Spirit, for this message. So blessed to be here. Thank you so much, pile one, for allowing me to tap into your energy, the energy around you, at this time. And I'm so blessed to do your reading. And I am so grateful that you are here. I'm going to read these shortly. And choosing to do the work. Wow, lots of cards coming through. And I do feel we need them all here. Okay, so lovers. So I think this is what you're sort of challenged with here. Okay, lovers is a relationship. Okay, we are in relationship with everyone and everything. Okay, it doesn't have to be romantic, intimate love here with you know, someone that you're sort of seeing romantically. For a lot of you guys, it could definitely be. It's manifesting itself through relationship in order for you to see and to choose differently. The Lovers talks about a choice in traditional tarot. What is the choice? The choice is either to choose the path of love or the path we choose of the fear. I feel like one of yours is the complacent path. The path we know, the story we know, that is choosing the fear story, the egoic story. You have an opportunity to choose the other path if you truly want this to go away, this feeling unloved, because love is there for you. Okay? So we have Gemini energy here. You're faced with a choice. The Knight of Fire, so sideways. So remember we talked about solar plexus energy. If I were to choose a card for solar plexus energy, the Knight of Wands would be one of them. And that's will, drive, fire, and being motivated. Okay, we're in the sideways position. We're not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe we don't have the inspiration to do so. Maybe we're not fired up to do so. Maybe we're still supporting that story so much so that it's not allowing us movement. We're being called to get up and go and take action here, okay? Yeah, look at 4 of water, which is 4 cups. Meh. Okay, this is like, meh. I'm mad at the world. And it doesn't have to be the words of mad. Okay, I use mad, whatever. I'm disappointed. I'm looking at what didn't work. I didn't get what I wanted. I'm emotionally feeling rejected, bored, dejected. Whatever I'm feeling here, and the universe is knocking you on the back of the head saying, hey, there's blessings here. There have always been blessings all around here. Whether you choose to see them, choose to go after them, choose to open your hands to them, that's your choice. The universe can't do that for you. You got to let go of what you're hanging on to. And what you're hanging on to right now is disappointments, stories, traumas, judgments. Okay, and so there's a blessing, a new beginning, emotional new beginning, love knocking at your door, whatever love is coming through here. It could be, again, love of a creative pursuit, love of another, okay, whatever this emotional new beginning is for you. And it generates from self-love, which is the Ace of Cups. We have to cultivate the self-love in here, and self-love can only be seen once we work through the judgments, because remember what I said, when we're casting judgment outwards, it comes through us first. And so once that's taking up space, the judgments and the guilt, there's no room for self-love there. We have to undo that and shine the light. And then we cultivate the self-love, okay? And this isn't because it's really sort of confusing when people say self-love and they think, well, I am loving. You know, I'm loving because I feel like I'm see my trauma, and I'm talking about how this has happened to me. I'm not dismissing it, and I'm, taking bubble baths, and I love myself. That's not the self-love I'm talking about. This goes beyond this. This is like a spiritual self-love that wants to be committed to undoing the false beliefs and the ego, so that the light of the true essence, the benevolent God energy that's within you, is connected to. That's true love. Everything else is egoic, transactional love and feelings. Okay, it's like desires. It makes me feel good. It's like, yeah, but that's not sustainable. We're talking about pure essence, okay? Not bubble baths, things that come and go. Okay, when I say self-love. So what do we have? The World in reverse. It says accomplishment, celebration, and completion. Yeah, so I feel like we're being called to put something behind us, and that's over. And maybe we feel like if it ends or it's over, then it means I'm diminishing what's happened, and the but again. Okay, we're not allowing something to close out here. And maybe all we need to do, because this sometimes works too when we're doing shadow, is say, hey, pile one, I love you. And I see that you're dragging this out or closing this. And you might have a reason that I don't know just yet. But I do feel I can consider that this is something that needs to be closed, and I'm dragging my feet or I'm still not seeing it. And I'm being complacent here in my energy because of a reason that I'm doing this. And it's not someone out there or a reason out there or the justification that I'm making. There's something more going on beneath the surface here with me, that I'm the reason it's not closing. I feel like you're the reason it's not closing. And at first blush, it's difficult to swallow because we're in denial and we want to make all sorts of reasons why we have to still live that out. You don't. It's over. It's time to close it. Okay, that's the truth of it. However you get there, though, is going to be up to you. We can't just say, get over it, close it. That's it. You know, because you say that, people will just snap their fingers. It's like, yeah, I'm trying to get over it. Are you trying, or are you trying to justify your trauma and what's happened here? That's what we need to really be the devil's advocate and really shine the light. Okay, so let's keep going. The Magician. So you have all the tools in order to generate a new beginning. Okay, ones are all about new beginnings, potential opportunity. Virgo, Gemini energy. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury. The Magician's ruled by Mercury. And Mercury has the ability to be fluid. And that's opposite from this complacency. I feel like we're very fixed on an understanding. Okay, and so we're just making that assumption from that baseline. We have to know what our assumptions are. And we have to know what our baseline is, because that's where everything else after that is the challenge, is why there's a challenge. So we have to know what our baseline is, because your baseline right now is already from a skewed per assumption. Okay, and so this Magician is all about manifestation, empowerment, and preparedness. Empowerment is taking me back to the solar plexus, and everything you've been manifesting has been from that baseline in which you've been attached to. And so this is why you're experiencing feeling unloved. You're feeling where it's not being giving and receiving flow. Okay, you're the one manifesting that. It's not anyone else. The universe isn't dishing it out to you. It's not other people that aren't seeing your value and that you got to do anything different with them. No, they might never see your value, or they might start to see your value the minute you sort of change the energy. And how do you change the energy? We got to go from within. Now you have all these tools to go within and take a look. Okay, but there is a manifestation that you can have here towards a lover's path. It says relationships, emotions, and choices. Okay, so we have the Six of Earth. Yeah, imbalanced. So I feel like a lot of you guys might be trying to manifest, like balanced relationship. And there might be a power dynamic here that you experience in relationships. Maybe you've lived through that in the past life, or you're going through it right now. Okay, an imbalance. It's like, why do I got to keep giving? Or why is it that, I am always feeling rejected? It's not coming back to me. Okay, so you've acknowledged that part. Now let's go into the deeper layer of self here. It won't come because of all the energy that is being directed in the way that you're doing it right now. Okay, so I feel this is your struggle, the imbalance here. Ace of Fire, new beginning, opportunity, creativity, and action. Yeah, all signs point to this beautiful new beginning. And this is a fiery, inspired new beginning. And I feel like we're lacking this fire, okay, because of what we experienced in the past. Three of Water, celebration, community, and friendships. So this is truly being able to come out, come out, be seen, celebrated, understood, enjoy what's in front of us. And we can't do this if we're still heavy in this. It's like nobody will understand me, or I can't fully then let go of this energy, and so I can't show up. Okay, but you're being asked to show up here. So 10 of Cups in reverse. So potential for a 10 of Cups. It says family, love, and blessings. Okay, I feel for a lot of you guys, this is a relationship, the Lovers, the 10 Cups, the 3 of Cups. It's all about relationships, community, family. And we're feeling yeah, like less than, or that it's not coming towards us. The Wheel of Fortune, luck, progress, and change in reverse. So we are stuck in the past when it boils it all down. Okay? And you might have an idea of how it has to be or what you think it needs to look like. Surrender that. You might not know. Surrender that the Spirit's going to know better, and that anything that it wants to deliver to you, even if you don't fully understand it, is going to be better than what's happening here. Because I feel like we're really clinging to the control of what we think it should look like, and it's keeping us stuck to the past. Okay, like really stuck to the past. We're not letting the universe sort of flow us forward. Page of Cups, opening your heart space, is sensitive, open-hearted, and intuitive. The Queen of Water, loving, giving, and psychic. In the reverse, yeah, so the heart space is still not fully from an unconditional heart space. And I feel like we're over emotional in some capacity. And our emotions are being driven by past experience, essentially what it is. So we're stunted here. Emotionally, potentially immature. Potentially, we cannot get deep enough to have a 2 cups. We are incapable of understanding what unconditional love is when we're really guarded and we experience something in the past. And so we can only go sort of superficial, or we're emotionally really pulled by other people and certain things here, and we don't know how to develop this. But I feel there's a big block here, okay? So ego. Interesting, we're talking about the ego and the shadow work, and this is the Devil card in traditional tarot. So Capricorn 15, illusion, dependency, and materialism. So we're shedding the ego. We got to let go of the devil. The devil is the binding chains, the stories that keep us back. And I think it's the past that's really has a hold, and you really buy into it. And it's not allowing you to enjoy love here and experience people in a raw form that's innocent and genuine, and it's stunted. And so we might only go to a certain depth, you know, and then we're not wondering why it's not coming back in a full capacity, or why maybe it keeps getting sabotaged, or maybe why we always feel rejected, or maybe we're too fearful to be rejected. You know, like people keep rejecting me, or I'm just not interested because I've been numbed in the past. It's like whatever that story is, that's what we have to see through here. It's keeping us stuck to the past. We want to be liberated and free. It doesn't mean you have to choose a connection, but the channel needs to be free for giving and receiving love in a healthy way here. Okay. Queen of Earth, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. So heavy Capricorn energy here. This is the queen that is confident. She's reliable. She's grounded. She's practical. Okay, but in order to be this Queen of Earth, it says gracious, practical, and capable. She has to undo the shadowy devil. She doesn't need anyone, this Queen of Pentacles. She has to be standing here like this in order for her to then go to the next stage. And I think this is what Spirit wants you to know, is that you're working on this Queen Pentacles energy, and it's undoing the shadow. Okay, you don't have to be feminine here to resonate with this Queen of Earth energy. 2 Swords. Indecision, avoidance, and confusion. That's a lot of this, 4 Cups energy when we're confused, distraction, self-absorption, and disappointment. Ace of Air. Inspiration, communication, and adjustments. So we have the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords. New beginning. Seeing through the ego, being honest about what's holding us back, communicating clearly our truth, which is this Ace of Swords. If we can't see clearly because we're sitting in confusion and indecision, it's a choice we're making because we're in some form of in denial. Spirit is really, really telling you, you have all the tools right now. It's not going to fall in your lap. It's not going to be something you seek out there that all of a sudden is going to come. An understanding suddenly falls from the sky. It has to be sort of cultivated within you the desire to see clearly and to say, I might be understanding something in a way that is actually damaging or restricting to me based on what I've experienced in the past that might have felt very real, painful, challenging, but it doesn't have to be right now. Even if that was my full experience, the truth is that this situation is completely unrelated. And yes, I could still get hurt again, but I could not get hurt again. Things will happen. And I trust the divine will allow things to happen, but I can't be emotionally numb or swayed based on the past. And I can't cling to my past world. It's limiting how deep I can love. And so I keep choosing the complacency, the fear, and the thing that keeps me stuck, and not the progression, not the allowing the universe to take the wheel, because I feel this way I have more control. And meanwhile, it's just the illusion of control. I'm really going to be faced with challenge and sadness because nobody can come into this world because I'm not a flowing channel of giving and receiving. I'm trying to control it by, like doing certain things here that protect me. It's like damage mediation. What's it called? I don't know if I'm using the right word. It's like mediating. No, not mediating. You're trying to mitigate. That's what I meant. Sorry. Mitigating damage control. Preventative maintenance in some way. It's like I want to prevent getting hurt. I want to prevent what could happen. I want to avoid. And so we're really acting from a place of what ifs and preventative measures. Then we're asleep. That's what it means to be asleep. We're reacting to the what ifs rather than the what is. So we need to see what is, be honest about what is, accept what is, even if we don't like it. And we only don't like it because of the trauma. We only don't like it because we're believing something else. Reality is not something to like and not like. Reality is reality. It's there to be accepted. Accept reality as it is without interjecting your narration or your dialogue to it. This is bad. This is good. No, reality is just reality. And when we're trying to mitigate, when we're trying to project into future what it's going to be, or like the past happened like this, we're asleep. We're not engaged with the present moment. We're still narrating stories, illusions, and bound to experiences of the past and projecting out into the future and missing everything that's happening in the present moment. And how would you feel if you were in someone's presence and you felt that they were distracted, thinking of the past and thinking of the future? They're not there for you. They can't receive your love. They're sitting there looking like this. I'm too scared to get hurt. This is what happened. Or what if that happens? And what if this? No, then you're not enjoying this person who's right in front of you. You have people in front of you, I guarantee you, who are there, who want to be seen and accepted in reality. And what they're experiencing from you is someone in the past or someone in the future that's not present. You're still sleepy to the ego and you're prisoner to it. And the minute you see this, then you open up this new beginning. And then things become very clear. Wherever you were confused or indecisive, it's like, yeah, I can see very clearly now. Because when you're dealing with the present moment, choices and decisions are very clear. They're not confusing. They're only confusing when you get lost in your mind and you believe those illusions to be true, and they're not. Okay, so pile number 1. This is your reading. I know it was very long. I hope this helped you. I love you very, very much. I wish you the very best. If you're called to another pile, I will see you there. All right, bye-bye. Hello, pile number 2. You guys picked the Chrysocolla wand, and we're taking a look at your shadow work, where you're at in your spiritual journey, and taking a look at the shadowy side here so that you can know where you're maybe unconscious or maybe what you're not seeing about your shadow self. Okay, so I do ask you use your intuition, what you'll see, feel, or hear to determine whether this pile's for you. And I also ask that you go listen to the intro where I have the disclaimer so that you know what this reading is about. Okay, but if you want to go straight away to your channel message, you can do so. I will put a timestamp in the description box and in the pinned comment below, and I'll take you directly to your pick. So let's start. We have Synergy 41. The frequency of synergy supports our allowance and acceptance of not so obvious, never seen before combinations and unions that result in new ways of functioning, working, thinking, relating, loving, and being. It reminds us to embrace the unfamiliar so that new yet exciting co-creations can give birth to a new reality. Oh my goodness, mouthful. So 41 is 5. 5 is all about change, rebuild, conflict, loss, okay, adventure, innovation, risk, freedom, challenge. All right, so we have judgment. Judge less, understand more. And it says criticism, evaluation, and condemnation at the bottom there is hard to read. Interesting judgment came out for pile 1. If you are called, not this card, but another oracle card to pile 1, there could be a correlation. Okay, Dark Night of the Soul, 80, stress level. It says helplessness, feeling of loneliness, loss of control, vulnerability, dark thoughts, return to reality, physical exhaustion. Type 8, the Challenger, instinctive center between strength and weakness. So 8 is the card, or the number, sorry, of change, movement, attainment. It's also the number of authority, manifestation, leadership, abundance, goals. Okay, so we have some Leo energy and some Aquarius energy coming with the 8. And with the 5, we have some Taurus and some Sagittarius, okay? Feeling invaluable. Basic fear ego level 12, or the number 3. It says, get rejected, anonymity, defeat, failure, poverty, and unfortune. Type 3, the Achiever, emotional center between appearance and authenticity. So Hangman energy and Empress energy. Some Taurus, some Libra, and some Pisces. Solar plexus. I'm also feeling some Scorpio from this black here. Okay. We have death. Yeah, some more Scorpio energy. I am learning that endings are merely beginnings. Okay. And we have the filter, 45, or the number 9. Okay. So 9 is fruition, completion, and fulfillment. Wisdom, closure, and service to humanity. Okay, so some Virgo and some Cancer energy coming through. Yeah, the moon. The moon would definitely be filter. Okay, so let's see. We have surrender to passion. Get out of your head and feel the fire in your belly. Focus on the people or activities that ignite your passion and let it flow. All right, and then we have these past life oracles that I pulled. Okay, we're going to take a look at it because our past life, definitely when we come into this world energetically, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, their energy has always been, okay? It cannot be destroyed. It has always been, and so it comes with certain traumas, certain energy frequencies. It could come fragmented, okay? So this is what this is about here. So we might not remember being abandoned or the trauma or whatever we experienced, but it could be running the show. It could be subconsciously sitting in our driver's seat. Okay, so this one says abandonment. Number 4, feelings of unworthiness and rejection. Feeling invaluable. Okay, so now we have a theme here and helplessness going on. Okay. Yeah. So 4 is the number of structure, foundations, planning, stability. It's also death number. Okay, Scorpio energy. It's also Emperor, which is the solar plexus energy. Aries. So we have 21, relationship, repeat, shift, release, or enjoy. So we have 12 and 21, which is mirrored. Relationship, repeat, shift, release, or enjoy. Okay, and then we have wars and battles from this past life card. Wow. So that definitely could cause a lot of trauma here. Right beside this, abandonment. And we have Mercury with the number 3 again. So 2 3s. 33 is a master number. Reproduction, creativity, humor, Christ consciousness, joy, and harmony. So Mercury is a ruling planet for Virgo, Gemini. This is all about how we communicate, okay, through either written or expressive forms of communication. Yeah, okay. Expression. And it's also about thoughts. Okay, so in order for us to have certain words that come out and reactions to certain things, we have to generate a thought. So we got to kind of get in between the thought, especially if we have a filter on that. It could be coming out in our words and our actions. Okay, and we have enthusiasm, number 9. Sun in Sagittarius. Okay, and more 9 energy. So we have, where was it? That we had a 9 somewhere. Yeah, here. So 99. Being the change you wish to see and helping humanity to release what no longer serves. Interesting that we have humanity coming up twice in your energy. Okay. So we have unseen right at the bottom there. You could barely see it. Let's see. Can you guys see this? So it's hard to see. Unseen, it says. Okay. Wow. Okay. Let me channel this. Okay. You guys can skip ahead. Okay. Beautiful angels. I do feel like in your past life, there's been experiences here. And for all of you guys, it could be slight variations. Okay. But I do feel like there could be, and this might explain some of the challenges that you have for some of you guys. Okay. Challenge. And it could be at one point in one lifetime, maybe you had relationships, okay, where you had maybe a spouse or a partner that might have had gone to war, or you could have definitely been one that's gone to war here, okay, and feeling pulled from your spouse or the person you love out of maybe no choice of your own in some way. There's an abandonment here, and I do feel it's through relationship. Now we're in a relationship with everyone and everything, including your parents and everything. So, I mean, abandonment can certainly come from, parental experience that we have, come from broken homes or divorce. And it could be that a parent might have went out to battle or something and never came back. Okay. Or we could have been in a relationship with, again, married to someone who had to go to battle. We could have been the person who was pulled from our family in order to do battle. Whatever this is I feel it generated this abandonment. Okay. And we might have not have been told or understood. Like we didn't know that our partner had passed, or that, I don't know, there was a lot that we didn't understand. And so we had to fill in the gaps of our understanding. And that's what this card talks about as well. Okay. But there's more coming from this card, but it's like filling in the gaps, and it's filling in the gaps with, what we think the gaps should be filled with. And we use our imagination, and we use our past experience, and we use a whole bunch of things for it to make sense because we want to understand it. And whatever it was that we sort of tried to make sense of it, we came out with an understanding of feeling like unloved and abandoned, okay, which generates this feeling of feeling rejected or unworthy. And so this can get very triggering now in relationships. The minute something sort of lights that fuse, it's kind of like the scar that's sort of open. And so anything could sort of just touch it, and it could create this sort of flare up, if you will. Okay. And so I feel like we have this open flare, and this open flare is really creating a lot of our reactions. And I feel like our reactions when I say reaction, it's like how we say and what we do in that moment is really being pulled from that experience, whether we're conscious of it or not. And so we might really feel in that moment what we're saying is true. We truly feel this or we truly feel that, and we're reacting and responding and we're feeling intensely. But what we're really feeling and reacting and responding to was the experience of the past. Because when something happens in the now, present moment, that sort of sets us off. It makes us feel unloved. It makes us feel not seen. It makes us feel like we're losing the control here with helplessness. And the minute we start to feel the same trauma of the past or experience of the past or the thing that was unresolved of the past, it sets off alarms. Okay, but we're making all sorts of assumptions here with this judgment. Okay, because I cleared this up for pile 1. A judgment does not necessarily mean you're coming with a negative connotation about people. You could be doing that, but the judgment means you're coming with a preconceived understanding or idea that you feel is true. But it's an actual veil. It's the filter of the experience that is making that judgment. And so it's actually an illusion. It's not seeing accurately. It's seen through the eyes of the hurt child. It's seen through the eyes of the abandonment. It's seen through the eyes of the person who never got closure, who never got an understanding of why they got abandoned or what had happened. Their security got rocked. Okay, and so I feel like there was a need for closure and understanding and a need to feel safe. And it never came. And so now it creates this opening. And now it's like this intense feeling of feeling right away sort of rejected in some way, or like we're losing control, or it could happen again where the worst case scenario is going to happen. And we can't help but feel this way. Okay, and so there might be a fear here in letting it loose in some way. Because whatever we are letting loose is actually coming from the place of the unconscious, unhealed place. And so the words and the actions and the doings here are stemmed from that trauma. I'm going to use the word trauma. If you don't like it, then you fill it in with whatever you want. Ego, shadow, the unconscious self, the part that doesn't know it's acting from the subconscious, from the experience of the past. Okay, and if you don't believe in the past life thing, it's an energy here that is heavily charged, that experienced some form of abandonment. Okay, and so now we have opportunity in front of us that calls us to the dance floor, to calls us to connect, to love, to explore, to commit, to engage, to say, yes, I'm 2 feet in, completely surrendered and completely open to this. And we can only do this when we deal with the thing that is creating this distorted filter. And the distorted filter is always going to be there until we deal with what that filter is constructed of and see through this filter and deconstruct it, because we feel, as long as we're wearing this filter, unseen, not valued, no matter what I say or do, no one's going to notice the true me, or that I'm not making an impact, or that I'm not this, that, or the other. That's the judgment. And it could go on. And for all of you guys, it's different. Okay, it's a different dialogue, but it's all sort of stemmed from the same sort of, and there goes my email confirming, it's all stemmed from the same generated, distorted thing, which is I experienced a form of abandonment where I felt unworthy after of that experience that created this raw spot. And now I carry this filter of understanding. Okay, now you might not realize that the filter is in play here, and because of the truthfulness of how you're actually feeling. You really do feel unseen. You really do feel like you're rejected here, or that you're losing control in some way of certain things. But I feel like it throws you into a very intense sort of experience. And it's could be something that's creating like a dark night of the soul with this death. And so Spirit is coming through with a message here that if you are in a connection or being called to step up to the plate, or whatever you're being pulled to here, that seems to be the challenge that you're faced with, like being vulnerable or being open or like trusting again or like not feeling seen or that sort of a thing, know that spirit is calling you to action so that you can see through this filter, so you can transform and release everything that you sort of carried into this world, that you're still carrying in your energy body, that is still feeding the story of the abandonment and that unworthiness and that separation consciousness that I've been. It's me alone. It's me by myself. There's me here. I'm lonely. Nobody can see me. Other people are out there and I'm sort of separate here inside, feeling alone or not understood or abandoned in some way. And it's not necessarily true, but we don't see that it's not true because of how intense it feels. So passion, enthusiasm. I feel you're being called again to the dance floor. This is what keeps coming through. And whatever that means to you, I don't know in what context it is. Someone's showed up or there's an opportunity in front of you. And it's like, I see this opportunity and I don't know, like I want to be, balls to the wall with this thing. But maybe you sort of tested it or tried it. And it's like, I still feel like I'm invisible in some way, or that this wound sort of pops up here where I can't help but feel triggered. Okay. And so spirit is really saying, once you acknowledge and know that the filter is there, you are now one step ahead, knowing that the feeling, although it feels very true and real and you're experiencing these feelings, they're generated from the filtered mind that isn't necessarily responding to reality in this present moment, the dance floor or the opportunity or the passion or the enthusiasm towards this thing in the present moment. It's a response to a past. And once you know this, it sort of diffuses that energy in the feeling over time. Okay, because we're very aware now, and we're aware that it's like I'm responding this way, feeling as intense as I am because of a past experience that now gets triggered every time someone says something or does something. It reminds me of the feelings I used to have when I felt abandoned. And we might not, again, like I said, remember that we've even had this experience because it's so deep rooted in the psyche or the energy body. Okay, because again, this is all energy. I'm not talking about this lifetime, and it could be in this lifetime too. Okay, where we really do feel like there is no control for ourselves to dig our way out of this. And spirit is saying, you have all the power to transform this, the power to find closure here once you identify that the filter's in play. Okay, because as long as you wear the filter, like I said, you're seeing things through the eyes of the judgment. You're making up assumptions, stories, and ideas that are feeding your worst thoughts and your fears and your feelings intensely because of these judgments. And we need to stop ourselves the minute we identify that we're doing the judgments, that we're having that thought, because that's the filter talking. And so we don't have to go back to past life regression and see the moments that this happened. And it could be a repeat thing that's happened over time, but we don't need to go that far back. I mean, we can if we want to go back there and fully understand it, which reminds me, I should do a past life reading to see what's past lives have significantly impacted your life. I would say that there is one here that looks to be something of you repeating in this lifetime something that's making you really look at this filter that's creating this form of attachment that you might have to how you cope with feeling unseen or rejected or abandoned here by other people. That needs to be transmuted, changed, released, and you need to have some sort of closure so that you can have a new beginning. You're being called to create something here with synergy. Synergy is the magic of two people, two things, you and an entity, you with another person. The energies come together to create a third magical thing that can't be created by one. Okay? It takes the two to create the power of the synergy. And this was a mouthful, like I said, when I was laying all these cards, and I'm going to read it again because I feel like it's impacting every single aspect of your world. Every single aspect here is going to be changed by this change of the filter or the identification of the filter. The old version's falling away with this dark night of the soul and this death. You won't recognize this old version of you here once we see through this filter, because we're always constantly using and seeing through the judgment eyes. and communicating through that trauma or through that experience. We're reacting. And so people out there are responding and seeing what we're outputting. And what we're outputting is actually not our truest self. It's the trauma filtered self that's communicating and responding and reacting and engaging. And that's not representative of who you are. Okay, so here we have synergy. The frequency of synergy supports our allowance and acceptance of not so obvious, never seen before combinations and unions that result in new ways of functioning, working, thinking, relating, loving, and being. It reminds us to embrace the unfamiliar so that the new yet exciting co-creations can give birth to a new reality. So this present moment has never been seen or experienced before, period. We could convince ourselves and we could say all sorts of experiences are driving my reaction. And that would be a judgment and a filter, because your filter would be based on your experience. And this present moment is different, and it's always different in this present moment. So we have to be open to what this present moment has so we could create unseen ways of engagement. We are responding in the same way we always have, in the same fashion that we always do, because we are coming with a preconceived filter that's been in place and has always been sort of guiding us for the last little while here, ever since we started experiencing this. And so we'll forever sort of feel unseen and invaluable and trapped because we're always with the lens of those glasses. That's what this filter is. So I'll give you an analogy. Let's say this filter is, like red lenses, and you're looking around through the red lenses, and the sky looks red, the grass looks red, the trees look red, everything looks red. And I have blue glasses. Okay, and so I put my blue glasses on. And the sky looks blue, the tree looks blue, the grass looks blue, and you and I have a communication. And you say it's red. You're right. Through your filter, through your lens, through your experience of what you had, you'll forever be seeing the red, and I'll forever be seeing the blue. And I'm really convinced it's blue because my experience was different. It created my lens or my filter of the blue. Okay, so as long as you know you're wearing a red lens, and when you come in contact with me, you're not going to argue with me that it's blue or it's red, because you'll be very aware. You're not going to put judgment on me and say, it's red. You're going to know I have these glasses that see red, and Linda, she has the glasses that see blue. And although I don't see the blue yet, I'm going to understand that when I force my red, or when I think that there only is red, it's like I'm creating this reality in my own sort of world that is only a reality for me. So what does that mean? If it's only a reality for you, it's not in line with reality, capital R, because reality would have no lens. And since we all carry a lens and we can't take it off, we can be aware of it. My lens sees red, but that doesn't mean everything is red, but I see it as red. And so now I don't have to get as impacted and reactive to that red world. And when Linda says it's blue, it's like I'm open to that. I'm not saying, no, silly. How's it blue? It's red, clearly, right? We spend a lot of time, and we spend a lot of time feeling challenged, threatened, upset. It's like what I feel and what I know is like driving all of this dialogue and this reaction. And it's like, I'm not going to deny that I have the red lens because this happened. But it doesn't need to dictate the now, how I'm responding. This is the thing you're releasing, because you're being called to create something with someone or something very magical, very beautiful that you can't create on your own. So I do feel it's with another person, okay, that inspires you with this passion, this enthusiasm. And so Spirit is saying this is why you're being awakened, or why you're probably here, with this dark night of the soul. It's like, why all this suffering, or why is this being mirrored, or why is this so painful in some way here? Because death is never an easy process. And it's because Spirit is saying you must work through this filter and this identification so that you can create this beautiful thing that you're here on earth for, with this beautiful person. So you could come to the dance floor and not repeat the same experience. Okay, shift, release, or enjoy. And so once you see that you have red lenses, you make different choices. It's like, do I want to have the same dance? Do I want to have a different dance? You're now in charge. You're not arguing about the sky being red and what's what, You're not in the dream anymore. You're aware. So we're going to ask for pile number 2, Spirit. What am I missing in regards to pile 2's shadow? What do they need to know? Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest of pile number 2. Thank you so much, pile 2, for allowing me to tap into your energy, the energy around you. At this time, I'm so blessed to be here doing your reading. I love you very much, and thank you so much for doing this healing. As you heal, we raise the vibration of consciousness here, and I am so grateful to you doing this work. We have Ace of Fire, new beginning, opportunity, creativity, action. I was really getting that from the passion, the synergy, this enthusiasm. There's something for you to create here, okay? Beautiful, new beginning. We have 10 of Fire, overwork, stress, and imbalance. So we're going through a heavy dark night of the soul. We're carrying the burden, okay? We're really carrying this stress, and we might be feeling very imbalanced here. But remember what I said about the lens. And so as long as we are in the sleep or in the lens or in the filter or in that world, we believe it to be true. Okay, so we're being asked to see it and step outside of it, outside of the filter here. So what we do feel, we are feeling, but we know that we're feeling it because of the filter we're wearing, and it will diffuse this 10 wands feeling. Okay, because I do feel you feel very intense here. You know, and it's dictating your moves and your choices and what you're doing right now. And it's really driving that, you know, and it doesn't feel good to feel helpless and to feel like we're just one foot in front of the other and have no agency in our world. It's just sort of being thrown at us, and it's heavy, and we have no choice but to carry it. Okay, that's not true. Even though I do believe you feel this way, and it is your reality and what you're dealing with, okay? And what I said in one is, like, we always want to believe our story is different, but it's different because, and for me, it's special because that's what the ego does. There is nothing special. There is nothing, I mean, everything is special and nothing at the same time, okay? There's no unique nothing, and at the same time, everything is unique and different. So if everything is unique and different, there is nothing isolated about you. You're just like everyone else in your unique way, you know? And so the ego wants to make up stories why it's different and unique so that it could stay alive. For you, it would be different. For this ego, you know, we're holding up the world, and it really thinks it's doing something here because it wants to feel special and needed and validated. It's doing something. It's not doing anything except for creating burden and creating imbalance. We have to surrender and let that go. That we're not the doer of anything, okay? That the universe is unfolding in front of us, and we just need to know what filter we have on in order to be conscious in the present moment so that we're responding to reality as it is. We don't feel burdened when we're dealing with reality. We're in acceptance. The only time we're burdened is when we come in believing the filter. That's telling us all sorts of stories that aren't necessarily true because of past traumas and open wounds that are creating this reaction, okay? So we just need to be more aware of what we're doing here. Awakening, and it's in the reverse. This is the Hangman. So you have Pisces energy, pause, perspective, and selflessness. So Hangman in reverse. This means that we're so our nose in the weeds of it. We're not seeing it from a greater perspective. Or only have sort of one set mind, and that's really coming through with this filter. Like I said, we have the red lenses, and that's all we can see. And I don't blame you, because when you have red lenses on, that's the color you're going to see. No matter how much I try to argue with you that it's blue, 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 because mine is blue, you're always going to see red, and someone else is green, green, green. Okay, but all those perspectives are all accurate from that point of view, from that perspective, but none are in line with reality. And that's why we need to know that there is a reality happening that's outside of your perspective. And once we accept this and understand this, we start to see things differently. Things starts to change. And we're now more removed from our situation because we're not as invested emotionally, painfully experiencing what we think to be very burdensome and cumbersome and heavy, because we're seeing through it. Okay. 8 of Fire, speed, activity, multitasking. So this is in reverse. So I don't know, is this going too fast? Or is this something coming back, slowing you right down? Let's see. Because this could be like a stop in communication. This is communication too. This is the card of travel, movement, enthusiasm, strategy. Now it's in reverse here. Okay, so let's see. Maybe, yeah, and 10 wands in this multitasking. I think we're doing a lot and we're doing nothing. I know we don't want to hear this, but it's busy activity. And what's the busy activity? In the mind, talking a lot, thinking a lot, reacting a lot to the filter. That's what's really coming through right now, you guys. Okay, and so what does that mean? That means when I'm in a dream, okay, and I really am sleeping, I don't know I'm in there and I'm really responding and I'm really feeling hurt and I'm like, it's real. I don't know in that dream that I'm in a dream. And when I wake up, I'm like, oh God, it was just a dream. This is the same. You're wearing the filter of the red eyes, okay, or the red lenses. That's the only analogy I know how to use, okay? Whatever this abandonment trauma, whatever fill in the gap of the what's creating you feeling unseen, unloved, abandoned, and helpless. And so from that lens, from that filter, everything you're sort of thinking and saying and doing right now is going nowhere because you're responding to that. You're not responding to your present moment. And this is why you feel burdened and heavy and like it's stuck. And no matter how much I do, it's like, yeah, because if I was in that dream taking action, okay, I'm going to go this way in the dream. I'm going to go that way. I'm going to do that in the dream. You're still always in the dream. You can't be in the dream to undo the dream. You got to awaken to see it was a dream, to rescue you. This is the same thing. We have to know we're in the eyes of the filter. We have to know that we're in the trying to resolve something that actually doesn't need resolving from the eyes of the pain body. The mind is coming up with the story that it's created based on the trauma and the understanding. And then in this present situation that you're dealing with, that's how you're responding and seeing it. You're not seeing it clearly. So you're projecting onto this current opportunity that you have, which is passion, enthusiasm, and synergy to build something different. And Spirit is saying, once you see through this dream illusion, you're going to create this thing with this opportunity. Okay, whatever this is, this person, this situation. But this is what you're being called to see through right now, okay? Yeah, 9 of water, wishes, dreams, and happiness. To get your wish, emotional satisfaction here with the 9 cups. Okay, I feel like you want to be emotionally fulfilled and happy and get your wish, and Spirit's saying you can't have it, but right now you're still in the dream state and you're still in that mindset, and that's what's keep holding you up. That's what's creating stagnancy and not allowing things to move. And you feeling very heavy and burdened, like you're doing circles or like you're just carrying the burden of the same feelings over and over again. Like there's nothing I can do and I can't make changes here. And it's like, yeah, there because you're still trying to make change in a dream. I know I'm repeating myself, but that keeps coming through. Justice, 8. Fairness, the law, and karma in reverse. So things are unfair, things are imbalanced, things don't seem to be just and working out in your favor to bring emotional happiness. The Spirit is saying it will forever be in a reverse justice as long as we're still asleep, as long as we know we're responding to the trauma and to the past lens and the filter, rather than being alert to the present moment so we could create the justice and the fairness that's in front of us. That's how we get balanced, and that's how we actually speak truths. That's how we see clearly the reality, because our eyes are open and that we know, even if the lens is on, that we're seeing through that lens, and we just have to be aware of it in order for truths to fall, in order for truths to come and for illusions to fall and for us to see, for us to respond and engage differently. Then things become more balanced. Okay, but it's really like speaking one language in a different world. Nobody's going to understand you. The reactions will be different from people. It's like I keep speaking Cantonese, and I'm in Portugal. Well, they're not going to understand that. Okay, but I'm like trying to speak more Cantonese and say different words in Cantonese. And it's like, no, so whoever you're dealing with or whatever situation you're dealing with is imbalanced. You might be thinking like, what's going on here? It's not fair. It's not fair. I'm not being understood. It's not, like you're carrying the bulk of it. And Spirit's saying, stop doing what you're doing, because you're still doing it in the world that's actually creating this burden. And know that the reality of the situation you're dealing with here will be to see through your filter first, then you'll start to see the truth of what is. Then things will get balanced and fair for you, and you won't have to carry this burden. You won't be feeling unseen and like unjustified and all of this stuff, because now you're not responding in a different language that isn't making sense in your current reality. Your present state requires real, honest truths and not filtered subconscious reactions and responses. Okay, you can play that slow if you didn't understand that. So we have 10 of Earth, prosperity, security, tradition in reverse, 10 Pentacles. And we have the Dreamer, beginning, believing, protected. This is the Fool energy in reverse. So we had a new beginning. The Fool talks about a new beginning. There is a new beginning for you. I feel like you feel stuck, almost by maybe no choice of your own is how you feel. And Spirit's saying you do have a choice here, okay? You have a choice to build a future here that is solid, stable, security. And in order to get there, we have to take a risk. We have to trust in the divine that the dream we want, okay, we might say, well, it's just a dream. I don't want to believe in dreams and have hopes and then be let down. You have a dream, okay? There is something very magical here with this synergy, this passion, this enthusiasm, like I keep saying, for you to build. I think you already know what this is. It's for you to know if you resonate with this pile. A vision of a relationship, a build, a creative pursuit, something here that really emotionally fulfills you. It's not right now. It feels imbalanced and it feels too heavy and it feels stuck and all of this stuff, okay? Because Spirit is saying you need to put your risk in the trust of the divine to be guided in a way here that feels scary for you. And it only feels scary for you because you're still wearing that filter and that thing, okay? That mindset that you have that isn't your fault, but that was created by some abandonment, some trauma, and some experience. So every time now you engage in this present moment and you get feelings of feeling helpless and unseen and invaluable and it's imbalanced and it's unfair and it's unjust, and know that you're in a reversed hangman, that you're not awakened yet, that you're still seeing it from the perspective that created all this trauma. And that is what's responding. And so it's like her feet are in two worlds. You might know it because, okay, Linda said this. And so I believe what she's saying in one regard, but it still doesn't feel real or true. Then that's okay. Keep bringing it back to knowing that you're wearing the filter. And the minute you start to crack open that illusion, you start to see things differently. You start to make room for spirits to come in to show you the way, to guide you. Look, she's being guided here. That's the risk we take. That's the chance. That's us being the fool, saying, you know what? I don't know where you're going to lead me, but I'm knowing I'm coming from a higher perspective of understanding that anything could be possible here, and that my one track mind or my one understanding or my one experience isn't the be all end all and going to repeat itself. Because I think you want out of this. You want out of this imbalance and this heaviness and this stuckness. I think you want to build. I think you're fired up to do this, but you're thinking it's, it's the universe that isn't doing it, or it's out there that hasn't been in line, or it's not been coming together, and there's just it's stuckness and stagnant, and it's because of all these reasons out there. And Spirit's saying, no, it's actually because of the energy you're in. Your energy is dictating what's happening in front of you. And Spirit keeps wanting to put you in direct line with getting what you want emotionally, getting your dream. Okay, so point your nose in the direction that Spirit wants you to point it in. And what is the direction? The direction is undoing or seeing that you have the filter, even if you don't feel it initially, and keep knowing, is what I'm saying and doing coming from the eyes of the filter? How you'll know is because you'll feel contracting feelings. I feel sad. I feel helpless. I feel rejected. I feel like a failure. I feel these dark thoughts. I feel like this. This isn't true. Okay, now I'm not saying you don't truly feel this way. I'm saying this is a feeling based on an illusion of thought, because we know when we're feeling contracting energies, and I said this for pile 1, it is the universe slapping us upside the head saying, hey, pile number 2, you're out of line with reality. you're starting to feel contracting feelings. That's the universe's way to tell you you're getting off course with your thoughts. It's not true. You're in perception again. You're putting on your veil of filter of the red glasses. And so this is why spirit makes you feel this way, so it can wake you up. It's saying, you start to feel like a failure or something's not right. It's like, no, there is no limitation. And the universe knows this because it's all abundant, and it knows when you're in a reversed hangman and you're asleep and not awakened. And so it's going to slap you upside the head with all of these heavy feelings. The heavy feeling is the universe saying, wake up, pile 2. There's a lighter feeling here that you can rise up to, that you can start to see and move and build. It's up to you, though, to see it. But you got to identify this filter. So that's your first response when you feel contracting energies is, no, it's not true. You're not less than. Okay, it's a return to reality. You're going off course. You're feeling a certain way. It's not fair. It's this and that and the other. No, we're in story time again. Okay, and don't create judgment here. Just know that it's created because of an experience. That's it. That's it. We had an experience that made me in this judgment energy, that's made me respond. It's made me hypersensitive. It's made me react in this way, but I'm really reacting to what's happened to me in the past. That's what I'm responding to. It has nothing to do with this person in this present moment. And once you know this, you start to say and act and be different, and then you're really awakened. Then you start to see the magic of the universe. Then you create beauty, because it changes your whole energy. You release what no longer serves you, and you put down your wands and you surrender. Okay, but it takes a process and some time here, beautiful angel. Okay, so this is your reading, pile number 2. I hope this helped you. I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye. Oh my goodness, pile number 3. You guys picked the Moonstone Wand. I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to get into your reading. I do suggest you go listen to the intro, because there is a disclaimer there that I do want you to listen to before you get into what this reading is about. Okay, so I will be laying these cards out, and I do ask that you use your intuition, which you'll see, feel, or hear, to determine whether this pile is for you throughout this card layout. If you want to go straight away to the channeled message, I will put a timestamp down below for you. Okay, so let's take a look at your shadow, the shadow work, and where you're at spiritually, and what you're sort of uncovering here in your subconscious when it comes to the work. Okay, so let's see. We have dynamic 23. The frequency of dynamic supports our ability to harmonize between layers and aspects of different origin and frequency. It helps us to put together a reality that is made up of mainly different elements, both familiar and completely new, with ease, grace, and great joy. Wow. So number 5. 5 is about conflict, change, and rebuild. Okay, I'm getting Hierophant, Temperance from 5. So that is Taurus and Sagittarius energy. Let's keep going. We have 76. Dark night of the soul, stress level, despair, emotional disconnection, a loss of meaning, sorrow, overwhelmed, dark visions, deep melancholia. It says type 4, the individualist, emotional center between lack and abundance. So number 4 is about structure, foundations, stability, planning, pragmatism, material reality, and problem solving. Okay, so some Aries and some Scorpio energy. We have 90, integration growth level with peacemaker, wish for recognition, reconciliation, mediator, agreement, listening to yourself, awareness of your value. 9 and 3. Type 9, the peacemaker, instinctive center between forgetting and asserting oneself with the solar plexus. I'm getting some Libra energy with this peacemaker, and then I'm getting some Virgo, Cancer, and Taurus. Taurus, sorry. Okay, and we have honesty. I can't always expect the truth from others, but I can expect it from myself. Beautiful. And we have endurism. I was going to say enthusiasm. Endurism, 22. Oh my goodness. So 22 is peacemaker. That's coming up twice. That could be quite significant here, okay? Peacemaker, balance, keeping harmony, diplomacy, healthy energetic boundaries, and divinely guided relationships with 22. Endurism. All right. And we have surrender, defensiveness. Defensiveness is a sign of weakness. To communicate in a more empowered way, stay centered and hear someone out, and then offer a clear, non-defensive response. Okay. Now, I did pull the past life cards because, like I mentioned in all of the readings, our past life, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, our energy, before it's been born into this world, it carries a certain energy frequency. It could be filled with trauma or fragmented energies. And so this is why I pull this past life, okay, to see what sort of impacts could be going on in this lifetime based on your past experiences that you might not be aware of. What's sort of driving your subconscious actions, okay? So we have 32 with imprisonment, persecution, and judgment. Wow, so this could be literal imprisonment, or maybe we were sort of held under someone else's control. Maybe we didn't have a sense of autonomy somehow in our past life, felt restricted. We could have been a slave or like maybe a lower class society member that was sort of under the thumb of maybe another. Okay, but persecution and judgment. Wow. Okay, 32. Look at that, 2332. Mirrored numbers. I usually get that in my reading here, especially when I'm doing the shadow work here, which always is Spirit's way of telling me that we're on track here because we're being shown a mirror, okay? Beautiful. So we have another 4 here, 2 4s. 44 is a master number. Integrity as a foundation, treating the earth as home and a temple, manifestation, and leadership. Okay, so we have authority figures. Oh my goodness, this is the other past life card. So maybe we were like put in prison here. Maybe we had to serve time or something. Wow. Yeah, like look at this peacemaker and this like judgment energy. So we have 21 with 10. Okay, so that's number 3. 10 is in the light attribute, very flexible. And in the shadow, it's if it bends too much, it could break. It's quite weak, okay? And weakness came through here as well. We see the rainbow. Rainbow, for me, is all about versatility, but it's like the different ways and aspects we could see things from many different sort of perspectives. Okay, it's like hangman energy, so I'm getting Pisces energy. And 21 is 3, which is that hangman energy as well. Okay, but we were getting 3 from this as well. So yeah, well, hangman, trying to see if we feel empress here. Not so much, but empress is 3 as well. Okay, 3s are about growth, relationships, the initial success, creativity, joy, communication, and self-expression. Okay, we have innovation, and we have Jupiter in Aquarius. All right. Number 11. 11 is a spiritual number. Okay. Divine inspiration, synchronicities, and the encouragement to keep going. And we have, and I'm really being called to this whip. So the whip in the Lenormand deck is about challenges, could be like emotional, physical abuse. Okay. It's kind of like a 10 wands type energy as well with the whip. So here we have 6, and this is Mars in Virgo. Mars in Virgo, criticism. 6 is the Lovers and the Devil. So we have Gemini and Capricorn energy, and yeah, Mars is the ruling planet for Aries, Scorpio. And we have some Virgo. Okay, and then for shadow we have this that says panic. I don't know if you guys can see the word writing. This looks pretty chaotic here. And we also have betrayal. Healing begins with acceptance and forgiveness. And it says deception and treachery. And then it says backstabbing. Hard to see those words down there. Okay, so you can skip ahead. I'm going to channel this energy. It is coming through quite clear, though, before we pull the tarot. I don't know that I read this. Did I? Peacemaker, wish for recognition, reconciliation, mediator, agreement, listening to yourself, awareness of your value. Type 9, the peacemaker, instinctive center between forgetting and asserting oneself. Okay. Okay, beautiful angels. I do feel, and I don't always do the comparison thing here, but I do feel out of all the piles, this one is definitely more ascended, but there is shadow here. Okay, there's shadow, and we all carry shadow, and maybe you're aware of this shadow and you're working through it, is kind of how I feel. Okay, this is a pile here of working through an energy that you have that's, we'll have to find out what your driver is here, okay? I feel like you're involved with situations in a way here that are truly kind. You're truly, truly being kind, okay? But I feel like we're learning about what is being flexible and too over invested in giving, okay? And so never change your beautiful heart. Always choose love. That's always my message. And if you're doing that, you can't lose, okay? But we need to first understand clearly how to get there. Because if we still have shadow and we're still sort of tainted with an understanding of wanting to keep peace or wanting to be accepted or wanting to be loved, that's shadow. And it's driven actually from a selfish place. I want to be accepted, loved, and I will do what it takes, even if that means deceiving myself or sabotaging myself or self-sacrificing myself or putting myself out or doing things I don't want to do. It's like, like doing things we might not want to do. And this is what I think you're learning here, okay, is that you're not a bad person if you say no or if you have boundaries. And it's not the more you put up with, the more you'll be liked or the more spiritual or the more kind you are or the more loving in a way here because you're putting up with something that feels abusive or something that feels not good. But at the same time, we have to understand what that looks like because there is the first layer of defense, I feel, which is the ego, where we come through with the egoic boundary of I'm blocking that person or that thing or that situation because it's not supporting me. And we might truly believe that that is healthy and it's egoic. Okay. And sometimes we got to do that to block. That's fine. But we shouldn't have any aversion to anything. In fact, when we're healed, we rarely need to put boundaries. There is no reason. We're not impacted and we're not pulled. Okay. So I feel like you're still pulled by something in your world. And we could have specific things that pull to us, certain individuals. We can have relationships with 1 million people and never feel defensive, feel totally normal, and then encounter one sort of Newman, like the Jerry Seinfeld is like Newman, like one person that just gets to us or one thing. And the reason this is happening, because I do feel for a lot of you guys, it's a situation you're dealing with here that's testing your patience. And you might be learning through it in different sort of forms. It's like, do I put a boundary? Maybe you tried that and it's like, oh, like I was still pulled to it or I was still resisting it or I was still unhappy. I was still experiencing things. And then maybe you're open to it, giving, all inclusive to a point of breaking and feeling like you're caught holding the bag, saying yes, trying to be loved or accepted. And that's not right either. So what's the right answer here is finding the middle ground. Okay, I feel like there is first developing and understanding self and what is ego, what is not, what is sort of driven from an intent, because intent is really going to show you the truth. Is like, am I driving this in order to seek love or be accepted or approved or whatever the thing that I'm trying to attain? That's egoic. When I'm here not seeking, have no expectation of anything, but I'm loving to myself because I won't put myself in a situation where I'm the one who's going to suffer, I'm the one who's going to pick up the bag, or I'm the one who's going to be mistreated. That's the most loving thing I can do. I'm present with this person or the situation, completely trusting myself to do the right thing in this moment. I'm not going to overextend myself or have to endure with things here that I know isn't loving to me. But at the same time, I'm not going to resist or reject or block certain things because I feel threatened by it. because that is also an egoic thing. And so we need to navigate and learn our own sort of self-mastery of ourself and our intentions, and see through all of our egos and be very honest and clear with ourselves. Okay, because we sometimes will really think that we have good intention, and that is the biggest ego, is like the good intention. Like, good for who? And why is it good? And what are you trying to achieve with this? Because you don't know what's good for someone else. And someone else might need a poor experience or a difficult challenge in order to learn a lesson for the greater good. You don't know. Only Spirit knows. Okay, so we don't know what's good intention. And we might say, well, it's loving and it's kind. Okay, but we really need to look at the action and say, one, is it actually loving from a place, again, of being just open and accepting what is? That's the most loving thing we can do. Okay, not projecting what we think is loving, not attaching expectation of what we think love would look like, or an expectation of what we think would be good. That's not loving. That's projecting what we want selfishly onto a situation. And so this is asking you to have neutral eyes, okay, and not be overly invested in a way here where you break yourself because you're trying to prove your self-worth, or you're trying to prove something here. So I feel like there's a fine line here, because we could be either very defensive. I feel like you're very loving and giving, by the way, okay? You don't need to prove that to anyone else. I think you're overly doing it to earn some sort of badge of honor in some way here, okay? The most loving thing you can do is love yourself enough, and there is no need to get defensive. And I feel like the defensiveness comes from when we feel betrayed. And why do we feel betrayed? Because I've put myself out there, bent over backwards, injured, and showed this kind, loving action that I thought was loving, because, again, I'm using and projecting my own version of love onto the situation, and then you disappoint me. That's an expectation. That's an ego. Nobody's betrayed you, except you let yourself down by having an expectation and a thought that someone else is going to owe you or pay it forward. No one's going to pay it nothing forward, because you don't owe anything to anyone, and no one owes anything to you. Okay, now, I pulled these past life cards like I talked about. This is imprisonment and authority figures. I do feel like we might feel in certain dynamics with certain situations and people. Not everyone's going to bring this out in you. You might be dealing with a current situation right now, or a specific person right now, where maybe you're seeing them as having power or control over you because they have the final say, or they have the ability to do this, and you might be feeling very stuck. Okay, I know this is talking about past life, but because the dynamic has been something you lived through, it's what you know in your energy body, and so we fall into this dynamic. And it shows up, it rears its ugly head in a form now in this lifetime. Okay, different people, different situation, but the energy signature is reminding you of something here that we're needing to work through and understand and overcome. It's the same sort of dynamic, a power dynamic of someone having control over you, keeping you maybe feeling stuck, or feeling like you have no choice, or like you have to do, or you have to endure, or you have to play by their rules, or you have to be a certain way. You don't have to do nothing. That's a belief you've carried, or a system you put in place based on an experience of a past life or a past situation, or an understanding you hold that needs to be sort of looked at and picked through to really be seen for what it is. And so that's the baseline of where you're coming from. And so everything you sort of do after that is based from this sort of dynamic. And so as long as we don't see and undo this, we're sort of responding and engaging in the way from the trauma eyes. The trauma is enduring more, bending more, being overly flexible. Okay? I feel like you're wanting to keep peace at all costs, and maybe you're wanting to make everybody happy. And there's a news flash for you. You're always going to have people that are unhappy, have their own opinion, that don't like you, period. Even if you're the most wonderful thing. Wonderful for who? Everyone has an opinion. So the best thing you can be is your strong, confident self that's not swayed or pulled by anyone or anything. Okay, because you can trust that about you, that you're authentic, and that you will pull only people who are pulled to your authenticity, who will engage with you in a fair way, who don't expect you to prove anything, or you don't have to prove yourself with these people. There is a authentic energy that you can be in at all times. Okay, so if you're feeling a power dynamic, or if you're feeling like someone else has the control, or like you're having to put up with something or a situation here, then know that nobody's doing that and no one has this power. It's you falling back in this dynamic of what you've experienced in the past. And so there is this authentic voice that's wanting to come out, listening to yourself, because I feel there's a truth that is always there with you, that is telling you what is the right thing. I say right, but it is the thing in that moment that is more aligned to your authenticity than what it is that you decide to do. And so when we're fully awakened and awake, we know when we're choosing out of the ego, or choosing out of the trauma, or choosing out of the shadow. It's like, yeah, but I really want to be liked, or I really falling into this pattern. It's like, stop yourself and be honest. Listen to that voice, because you might really want, again, to keep peace, or you think there's an outcome here that could be manufactured. If you manipulate situations, if you endure long enough, if you say certain things, if you do certain things over and over in a certain way and change people's minds. No, you have no control over the reality of the present situation. You can respond in certain ways, for sure. And so what Spirit's talking about here is responding in the most authentic, honest way that is most loving to you. Okay? And trust me, when you're really loving to you, you're not making painful, hurtful decisions with other people. They might not like the decision, but that's, again, a like and a not like. Those are opinions. That's not doing things out of ill will, or malicious intent, or trying to create harm. That is loving. You know, it's like, let's say, for example, your child, and you keep bringing money to school for lunch, and people, whatever, like bullies or people just keep taking your money. You're like, well, maybe they needed it, and you never eat a lunch. The most loving thing you could do is stand up for yourself, and keep your lunch money. That is the most truthful thing. So I feel like sometimes the truth is painful for people who aren't ready to live the truth, but that doesn't mean that it's the wrong thing, or that it's you doing something bad. Okay, so I feel like there's a need for you to sort of speak your truth and learn a balanced way to do this without being defensive, because I feel like it gets to the point where we endure, put up with, and then get angry or vindictive, or just we start to get very defensive because this person betrayed me. Okay, and so it's like this, with this panic, I feel like I don't know what I feel here. It's like a chaotic energy of, maybe it makes us feel, when we do speak a truth, or when we do something where we think is going to get a negative response, or it's not in line with peacekeeping, or we feel like the other person might get angry about it or not like it. I think we have this panic that comes upon us, and Spirit's really talking about us sort of creating this understanding of energy panic that doesn't necessarily, like, it's coming upon you for sure. Okay, so you're experiencing this, but this is part of the illusion. This is part of the trigger response because of the dynamic that we experienced in the past. And so it's like a fuse. Automatically we go into this like panic attack, or this panic mode, because it's different. And so we're responding different, or we're doing something different. And so it's like we're bucking the system, we're going against the authority. And so it could be very scary. Our heart could start to race. It's like, oh, I'm going to say no, or I'm going to resist this in a way here that's might be confrontational. And guess what? It might not even create a conflict. It might not even create anything except for truth and honesty, and it might resolve a lot of issues. Okay, that's one route it could go. The other route is it could create big conflict, big drama, which would be Spirit saying that's the reality of what needs to happen. But either way, whatever unfolds from it, it needs to be faced with. And I think that's what Spirit wants you to know, is that there's a reality that needs to be faced, that we can't avoid by trying to out nice it, or outsmart it, or try to do something here. Because the more you try to manipulate energies by not dealing in the present moment, maybe someone is a bully, maybe someone isn't being nice, maybe someone isn't carrying their own weight, maybe somebody could be better or do whatever they could, should, would, whatever. We're not trying to change them. All we're doing is standing in our truth. And then the light will be revealed on the situation. And we might be trying to do some like avoid conflict. But then that means we're not wanting to deal with reality. And Spirit's saying, this is what's going to resolve your situation or the dynamic or this imbalance or this thing that you're working through. The light needs to shine on what's not right. And as long as you're in authenticity and truth, it doesn't matter how much conflict happens. As long as it's in truth and honesty of why it's being revealed, the truth will always prevail and reality will shine and things will move. Then we won't get stuck holding the bag, because right now I feel like we're stuck holding the bag, the panic, the betrayal, and all this. It's like we betrayed ourselves. Okay. And I feel like we don't want to have conflict, or we don't want to experience that negative part that we say is negative, and Spirit is saying, no, it's reality. There is no negative. There's no positive. There's just reality. And there's just accepting what is without trying to contort ourselves. That's a different perspective. And so as long as we're seeing that different perspectives could be true, but then we're awakened to the fact that there's many, 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 many different perspectives, and there's only one reality, which is the present moment, the truth of what's going on, without a filter, without our own projection, without our own fears and panics. And that truth is calling us to see and accept, even if it's scary, even if we haven't done it before. And we have to keep kicking it back to, am I in line with the greatest truth of reality right now, even if it's scary in this dynamic? Am I, because this criticism I'm really feeling is the inner critic. You're your worst sort of enemy here. And this is really generated from an experience here where you might have not have been able to have power, a voice, autonomy, and an ability to have agency over your choices, decisions, actions. You might have had to report to someone. It's like someone had control over you in some way. And so this is what you're sort of used to. It doesn't mean you like it, but it means that dynamic's been established in your energy body. And now when something sort of triggers it, it automatically falls into this authority figure and then this like more, like stuck sort of energy. And so you're feeding this sort of dynamic energetically. And I don't think you like it. It's painful, and it's like selling yourself out. And so there's this inner voice, like I keep saying, of your authentic self that's telling you, speak up or do this or make a different choice. Speak your truth, because I feel you're left holding the bag here, feeling left out, feeling overwhelmed, feeling just like, am I sort of talking to the wind? Does anyone even care about me and my opinion and my choice and my happiness and it's like, yeah, you do. As long as you care about your own happiness, your own voice, and your own choice, then that's all you need. Then other people will too. But when we sort of sell ourselves short, when we don't stand up for our own truths and our own voice, who is going to do that for us? Nobody. They're going to step all over us because we've stepped over ourselves. So I feel like there's a need to build our own voice and our own backbone. And then situations will fall into place. Okay, but you have to do it. And I feel like right now we're looking at everyone else and then feeling angry or betrayed, like other people don't care about my voice, or they're doing things that hurt me, or they're doing things that are like not treating me good or not seeing me, and I feel helpless or stuck or bound that I got to do this and I got to be that for this person, and everyone's sort of using you for certain things. It's like, no, nobody can use you unless you're allowing the using to take place, and you're trying to scratch an itch of something here that makes you feel a certain way, and it's never going to scratch that itch. You're going to be chasing your tail, trying to prove your worthiness and trying to win affection and people's buy-in and approval and try to appear a certain way. It's like, no, first you just have to be truthful and honest that you are already worthy, that you are not someone else's sort of punching bag or doormat or whatever. And yes, you could do what you choose to do in the moment in a flexible, loving way, but without expectation and acknowledging the situation as it is. If it's imbalanced, it has to be acknowledged as such without conflict in a very beautiful, loving way. Okay, we can't avoid truths. And then I feel we get into this panic mode. So we need to know that the panic is generated from within. It's not true. And we just need to be aware of it. I'm experiencing panic right now because I'm doing something, or I'm noticing something different. And so this panic is going to act up. And that's okay. Can I be in a body that experiences panic right now, knowing that it's just being generated from within me? Can I be in this body and still be functioning and still stick with truths? If I can be in a body like this and still be truthful and still be authentic and still be honest and still know that I have my own back, then I just need to push through this. Because after a while, this will start to sort of peter out. I think the reason the panic is really charged here is because we're still really carrying this experience of the past, okay? And it's heavily charged. And so this panic starts to like be very loud. Our heart starts to beat. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to say no, or I got to, buck the system or speak my truth. And what are they going to say? What are they going to say? And like I said, we don't know. There could be a million different outcomes. It could be the best outcome or the worst. We don't know. And as long as, like I keep saying, it's in truth, then it doesn't matter if it goes sideways, because the truth is being revealed. Okay. And we're just like prolonging this like pain and suffering when we sort of cater and pander to other people's ways of being. We're doing it to ourselves. Okay. And then we feel bad about it. So we have the 3 of fire. We're looking at pile number 3's shadow. Okay, what they're needing to know and work on here, spirits. Thank you so much for this message. And thank you so much, pile 3, for allowing me to tap into your energy, the energy around you. Spirit, please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of pile number 3. So 3 wands, movement, expansion, and moving on. Okay, we've done the groundwork. We're able to expand and move on. A Knight of Earth. So something solid, organized, responsible, supportive, goals, expansion, and vision. We have the 8 of fire, 8 wands, speed, activity, multitasking in reverse. And we have the 3 of water, celebration, community, and friendships. That's 3 cups. And we have the 3 of air. That's 3 swords, sorrow, forgiveness, and healing. And we have the King of fire, inspirational, charismatic, and innovative. And that's the King of wands, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius energy. And we have strength, Leo energy, courage, compassion, and perseverance. And we have the 7 of earth, that's 7 pentacles in reverse, investment, assessment, and patience. Okay, let me channel this energy. What's under this Knight of earth? We have the Queen of cups in reverse, giving, loving, and psychic. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Okay. See my recording. Okay. Beautiful angels. You're healing in the situation you're currently dealing with. It could be a relationship, a dynamic, a situation. Okay. Where you're pulling in different sort of realities, if you will. Okay. There's only one real reality, but I mean, reality is in there's spiritual knowings and understandings. There's logic. There's 3D. There's many sort of things going on. There's other people's perspectives. Okay, so it's a lot. And there's the past that we experience, again, that we talked about, a past life imprisonment. It says authority figures, okay, which I'm pretty sure is stored somewhere in your pain body. Some experience you had, which creates this dynamic, this people pleasing, or this trying to keep the peace. And maybe very difficult when it comes to conflict resolution. Okay, but in this current situation, I feel you're dealing with a lot of pain. And why? Is because I do feel like you're feeling let down. You're feeling like other people aren't stepping up, or have your back or doing things, and it hurts you. It doesn't have to hurt you, and it doesn't have to create this 3 swords. This is what we're healing. Okay, and how we heal this is to see through the illusion that nobody's betraying you, that it's not other people not stepping up for you. It's other people engaged in their shadow, just like you are, or just like we've been experiencing. You trying to endure something is a shadowy part of you, trying to prove us something, trying to do something, trying to be flexible. And you can say, yeah, but it's good. It's a good intention, and it's from a good aspect, and this person being mean, or they're being selfish, or they're not. No, what's to say what's good or bad? Shadow is shadow. Your intention for enduring and being good, like I said, stemmed from an unhealed place. Just like someone being selfish is stemming from an unhealed place. It's both equally neutral. It's an unhealed place, and we're trying to attain some outcome to be seen or loved or recognized. No. So this is what we're healing. And we got to see through that we're doing these things that isn't loving to ourselves. Okay, and by the time we see this, it's like we have to forgive the fact that we were betraying ourselves or trying to win some affection or bend over backwards for whatever reasons we were doing it. Because I feel like right now we're stuck. Situations are stuck. They might not be progressing, and Spirit's saying they will progress. This is the groundwork you're having to do in order for things to move. There's delays here, and there's a stunt when it comes to communicating. Okay, because I feel like there's a truth here that needs to be communicated, and it's standing up for yourself. Okay, now my channels come through when I channel very pointed and direct. It doesn't have to be this intense. It could just be, we're not being completely honest when we feel a certain way about something. And like I said, it doesn't mean being defensive. You didn't do this or you didn't do that. But I was told to speak my truth. That's not really a truth. That's a shadow being the critic saying, you should have done this and you should have did that. It's coming from an expectation. That's not the truth at all. That's the part that we're not, speaking our truth. The speaking of the truth is something like this. It would say, I feel the most loving thing for me to do here is to say no to this, or to respond in a balanced way about how this is not something I want to carry or want to do, or that I've been, whatever the truth is. It's all about you really seeing through your actual truth, not through the eyes of the pain body and the experience of why you're doing what you're doing. Okay, I hope this is making sense to you, because this isn't being communicated to your current situation. So I feel there's a block here in this. So there is an ability there to be happiness, harmony, people coming together, reconciliation, celebration. Okay, and I feel like Spirit is saying this will happen once we're sort of healed from this pain body in order for things to move forward. We have 333. Okay, threes are about relationships and growth. And like I said, this is about communication as well. Threes are about communication, groups, fun, self-expression. Okay, the King of Fire has a very good intuition when it comes to fire intuition. Okay, fire intuition is very different than water intuition or the cups. Fire is instinctual. It's like we make decisions instinctually in a way here that is sort of based on experience and an inner knowing of calling situations out. Okay, and then taking action on it. And so we need to know the difference, because there's the fire instinct, which is the, there's instinct and then there's intuition. Okay, and then there's the water intuition, which is very silent, and it's not creating fire and urgency and panic. It's very still. Okay, and so we might be confusing the two. It's like if we were in a burning building, like instinctually, the King of Fire is going to be like, okay, the right thing to do is like, whatever, like go out the building, and like the fire intuition kicks in. When we're on a sales call and we're trying to close the deal, it's like, what do I say to this person? Because they're, showing indifference. It's like the instinctive thing to say the right thing at the right time. That's the fire intuition. But the fire intuition, when we're unhealed, it starts to say things and do things just out of reaction. And I think your reaction is like leaning into the self-defeat. I'm just going to put up with this. I'm just going to say what they want me to hear. I'm going to placate the situation or do whatever. I don't know. Do something here, and it's not in line with your truth. And then you have no one to blame but yourself. And that doesn't feel good. But we need to know why we did it in the first place. So that's going to take strength and courage. Courage to hold ourselves back. Because I feel like after a certain time, we might feel so mad and upset. We might be telling people like, you didn't stand up for me. You didn't do this or do that. No, they didn't, and they won't, and they don't need to, and they shouldn't have to. If they want to, they can. That has nothing to do with your self-worth and your value. That's something you need to heal. Okay, and so the strength here is to know, when do I act on that fire intuition out of grace and compassion and courage to stand up and see that I don't need to peacekeep, but I just need to speak honestly here, firmly, and not create, again, with this defensive, like my backup, or get their backup by saying you did this or you need to do that. And then justify it and say, well, that's my truth, or that's how I feel. Because feelings are always true, but they're not a true indicator of what's happening in reality in this current moment. Feelings are just true to the thought we're having in that moment. And so if our thoughts are predominantly heavy based on past experience, now we're responding to the past experience fully charged. I was let down in the past so many times, and so now I'm going to respond, and now I'm defensive, and I'm really mad about all the things that I've been putting up with, and we blow up. Passive people like this bottle it up. It's like, no, we just need to be very aware in the moment and not avoid and not skirt around because we think someone might be mad or upset or whatever at our truth. And if they are, then we just notice the panic, like I said. And can I be in a body that has the panic right now? Yes. And we just got to feel the sensation of it. We just feel the sensation of it. The other person doesn't need to feel it or see it. It's generated from within. Okay, and so I feel like we're being called to see this ego. We're being called to step into our courage to say what we need to say, because I think we're being silent when we need to speak up, and it hurts us. We're hurting ourselves. Okay, and so I feel like we're wanting to create something here, and I feel like we might have given a lot of ourselves, a lot of our time, a lot of our effort, and it's like, I just want to give up. It's not manifesting. It's like, no matter how much I give to this thing, it's imbalanced, or it's stuck, or people aren't picking up their weight, and it's like, it's never going to come, it's never going to create, it's never going to manifest, it's never, never, never. It's like, yeah, well, perseverance here, right under this, is talking about you turning your energy from the pain body, fire intuition, to one that is more silent when it comes to water intuition, by seeing through this panicky state before it gets built up, to speak a truth. And to choose that truth would be very difficult at first because it takes a lot of courage. But the more you do it, the more you develop that thick skin or that ability to overcome this. And this is what will manifest what you want. And this is what growth looks like. So we're talking about shadow work and your spiritual growth. This is talking about expansion. And I feel like once you work through this, I feel like you'll never have to resolve this whole thing again. This is what Spirit's showing you by this situation that feels very painful. You're overcoming this dynamic of people pleasing, peacekeeping, responding from the pain body, and then feeling bad and sad because you got let down, or feeling really, like other people are sort of letting you down. Other people aren't doing anything at all, except they're just in shadow and egos as well. Okay. So noticing our ego, choosing the courage, knowing when it's appropriate to say something in the most loving, honest way, even if it sounds painful from your perspective, it doesn't mean it is. As long as it's truthful, and as long as you don't have an attached expectation and you're checking your intention, it's just to speak a truth so that you know that you're in line with authenticity, and you're not choosing to, again, tiptoe around someone or something in order to make it better because you're concocting a reality that isn't true. That doesn't help anyone, not even the person you're trying to peacekeep. It's just creating stories, illusions, fantasies, and that's not loving at all. If I were engaged with someone like this, I would say this person isn't loving me, because if this person loved me, they would see me in the real time, in reality and in the present, and they'd be honest and truthful with me, even if it hurts me. That's someone I know would love me, not someone who's trying to, just sort of, I don't know, appease me, that's not loving. And I know you're not meaning to do this, but that's what's coming out. Okay. So yeah, over time, I think there will be movements. We have to be consistent. And I feel this is slow, very slow, because I do feel like we have to know the difference and experience the difference, because we could all of a sudden say, I'm standing boundaries and I'm speaking my truth. And that's the parts that we don't really fully understand. That is the pain body talking. It's the fire of wands saying mean things. You're an asshole. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. No, that's not actually speaking our truth. That's just pain body. Okay. So we work through this slowly, however long it takes, however patient we need to be. Okay, patient with ourselves, patient with others, knowing they're working through things, knowing if we have pain, it's because we've been in line with supporting that, in which doesn't feel good. We've been feeding this, not other people. We've been betraying ourselves, not other people. We need to know the most loving thing from an unconditional loving place is to say the truth, speak it, and to choose with love. Will always be in line with truth. And when we're choosing anything other than the truth, it's not in line with love. And so it can't be unconditional love. Okay, we might be getting confused. Unconditional love doesn't mean unconditionally putting up with abuse and unconditionally doing things that make us feel uncomfortable. That's not unconditionally loving. Okay? I don't know how many times I have to say that, but people get very confused when my message here is always about choosing love, choosing unconditional love. It's like that person was abusive. That person was that. No. No. Okay? If that's what you have, big fat ego. Okay? Because we're not seeing beyond ourselves and our own trauma and our own pain. Everybody's in shadow. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own ego. And nobody can make you do anything at all. And nobody's going to pull your emotions here. The only reason you'd be defensive is if you're an ego. Okay? Nothing is happening to your beautiful light here. And when you are in panic, know that you're generating this from within. And it's stemmed from past experiences. So all you got to do is just identify this. Okay, beautiful angel, I love you very much. I wish you the very, very best. I'd like to thank you for all this healing you're doing, the shadow work you're doing, making this place a better place to live. I love you very much, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye.